radio for the masses.
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army.
If the game is rigged, change the game. Game changer.
I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
This is Fade to Black with your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
I need your help to get to the year 1985.
You're listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Good evening. Fade to Black. Bespoke Radio. For the masses. Yeah, man. How you doing? Today's Thursday. Thursday, May 7th, 2020. We are live from a bunker somewhere in the middle of beautiful downtown Burbank, California. 128 days into the new year. Only 238 days left. I would like to welcome everybody listening all around the world, all across the United States. Hither and thither and to and fro, back and forth, up and down, east and west, north and south, far and near. This is Fade to Black for KJCR, the Game Changer Network, and KGRA, the Planets. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. What is cracking, everybody? How you doing? I love saying that because I mean it. How you doing? I like the David Bowie. Labyrinth. Man, I can quote every line from every character and every scene at every moment in Labyrinth. I do it with pride. Man, I love that movie. Just like that, I get all tangled up in my own cables. Yeah, Labyrinth. Woo, man, that's a good gift right there. That's a good gift. What a great movie. Great posters. Great DVD, great special features if you've gotten the anniversary DVD, the making of, the music. Oh, man. What a great movie. All right. It's Thursday. It has arrived. It is Thursday. It is Fadernight with open lines all night long. The caller, yes, Rita, you are correct. That won't be happening tonight. The call-in number is 747-228-2051. 747-228-2051. You can follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. That's the easy thing to do. At JChurchRadio. Hashtag F2B is the sandbox on Twitter. Hashtag F2BQ for everybody out there. That is Fade to Black questions. And tonight I wanted to do an AMA. Nah, we can't do it tonight. So maybe we'll do it next Thursday. Crazy week on the show. We got a lot to talk about tonight. And I've got a couple of surprises coming up. So get ready for all of that tonight. It is Fader Night, my favorite night of the week. And which has turned into, it's morphed into, there's no question about this. It is now established fact. Fader Night on Fade to Black is one of the greatest nights on all of talk radio. Anywhere in the world. That's it. That's it. That's what Fader Night is. Just an exciting, and I am able to, and I had the craziest day today, by the way. I'll see if I can get to all of that. And if I stop rambling right now, maybe I will get to it. So you can email Jimmy at jimmychurchradio.com. We have 2 chat rooms open, one at Spreaker, one over at KGRA The Planet. Of course, if you're over on YouTube, you guys are going crazy over there. Hello to everybody on YouTube. One of these nights, I will do a YouTube show. I will just hang out with everybody on YouTube, and we'll go back and forth. And then I'll do a Facebook night where I'll just hang out with everybody on Facebook and we can interact there. Then we'll do something on Twitter, which we do every night. But I'm talking about the Twitter feed of the broadcast and the comments and everything that is going on there. So let's enjoy the night tonight. It is Thursday, and when I wind through my Thursday, my Thursday is a special day. I know that I'm going into open lines. There's that part of it, so I'm excited about that. There's a lot of the show prep that I don't have to normally do when you have a guest on. I don't have to do any of that. I don't have to sound check and research and go over a book one more time and I don't have to do any of that tonight. It's just your phone calls, and it just makes for an exciting day. And here I am. I'm ready. Got my River Moon coffee, and it's open lines all night long. And different for this weekend, I don't have Coast to Coast AM. So this is it. This is our Friday. I get to just relax and know that I got to work for the next 3 days on this show. So there you go. All right. Oh, man. A couple of things. Email is Jimmy at jimmychurchradio.com. I want you to get your immune system boosted, get your system in check, get it to where it needs to be. Now is the time. Do it. Go and visit getthetea.com. Visit their special page, and they have an immunity package right there. Get that, and you're on your way to wellness. Use the promo code FADER, FADER, free shipping on all orders over $50. And also, when you are over at jimmychurchradio.com, all of our sponsors are there, right? Just click on their banners, go and visit them. That's how this show happens with our sponsors, and our sponsors are the best. And that includes Billy Carson. Billy Carson and his new internet TV network built just for you. The links and banners are over at jimmychurchradio.com. Click, go, and you will get a 3-day free trial when you register over at forbiddenknowledge.tv. River Moon Coffee, their Amazon store, is now open. I love everybody's comments today. Watching Twitter light up over River Moon Coffee because people are starting to receive their new Game Changer blend. We just introduced it a couple of weeks ago. It is now shipping. Go and check it out. Visit their Amazon store. And if you're a Prime member, you get free shipping. Promo code is JimmyRMC. That's all caps, JimmyRMC. You'll get 5% off of your order on Amazon. And if you use F2B Blend over on the River Moon Coffee website, you will get 15% off of your order today. Let's get to it. Lots of breaking news today. Project Blue Book. Uh-oh. Did you hear the news? All of those fans out there, myself included, are left with nothing but questions because history canceled Project Blue Book. The second season of PBB ended on March 24th, just about a month ago, right? With, this is the thing. This is, the show ended with Dr. Alan Hynek searching for his colleague, Captain Michael Quinn, played by Michael Malarkey, who's great, by the way, who was blown to bits in an underwater explosion. It was a true cliffhanger, something you do when you have another season coming up, right? But a month later, A&E showed us that they have other ideas and ratings don't matter and opted not to pursue a third season of the show. Project Blue Book was created by David O'Leary, who served as writer and executive producer and was produced by Robert Zemeckis. Season 2 had an average of 1.3 million viewers per episode. Not bad, not great, but other shows have been renewed with much worse. So that's it. They're shopping the series. Maybe it'll pop up on Netflix. Maybe Amazon will pick it up. Hulu. Who knows? Wow. Blown away by that. Blown away. Nobody knows how network television decisions are made. Nobody knows. Many have speculated. Men have died. Countries have fallen for the knowledge of why networks do what they do. Also announced today, a new study carried out in the Antarctic provided a new estimate of what the amount of cosmic debris, insert Frank Zappa references there, and space rocks that hit Earth every year. Now, according to researchers, an average of about 88,184,905 pounds of extraterrestrial material hit the planet annually. Now, in case you're wondering, that is 44,092.5 tons. The new study was carried out by a team of researchers from the United Kingdom. Their estimate and findings were detailed in a new paper published today in the journal Geology. Absolutely nuts. The Earth grows by weight by 44,000 tons of extraterrestrial material every single year. That's crazy. Well, okay. Elon Musk and his partner, Grimes, and named their newborn baby boy, I can't even say it, XAEA12 Musk. Right? But it seems that the Californian state rules about baby naming are about to come into play. You see, in California, new baby names can only use the 26 alphabetical characters of the English language, according to the state constitution. No numbers allowed. Not to mention the Elvish characters AE, which is the Elven shorthand of AI, or artificial intelligence. There you go. Man, too much money just clouds your thinking. I mentioned earlier this week about the day I took my driving test when I was 16 years old. And I wanted to go back and just tell you guys what happened. I don't want to leave you hanging. This is what happened. On that morning, my dad was away on a business trip. My brother, Kevin, was upstairs in bed, sleeping. Summer vacation. And I'm going to guess and say he was, well, it doesn't matter, but he's upstairs sleeping. And my mom and I were going to take the car over to the DMV, and so I could take my driving test and get my driver's license. And so my mom had this idea not to start the car in the garage, which is directly underneath my brother's bed, and to put the car in neutral and back it out of the garage and then start it up outside. This was my mom's idea, by the way. So we're pushing. I'm in the driver's seat. I got one foot on the ground, steering wheel, doors open, and I'm backing the car up, and it's going, so all of a sudden it just kind of starts rolling and takes off. And the edge of the door that is open catches the molding on the side of the garage, the wooden molding, and rips it off the house. and my mom's standing there. My mom's pushing the car from the front. I'm looking at my mom. She's looking down, and the whole frame of the garage is lying in the driveway. Waking up the house and all of the neighbors on the block. And so much for that. I do remember this, though. I remember my mom not exactly telling my dad the truth. My dad had to come home after his business trip and replace the molding and paint everything on the house. And I can't remember exactly what was said. All I'm going to say is I didn't get in trouble. So that's what happened. And also, I want to get to this before I move on. If that was just a crazy day. Mom, man, I hope Dad isn't listening right now. He's probably just shot her a look. What really happened? You said it was. You mean it was Jimmy? It happened. It was my mom's fault. It was. In this case, I was innocent. Okay. Today, I had a poltergeist event in my garage. Almost. Let me tell you what happened. It was crazy. Cleaning out the garage, breaking down boxes, garbage man's coming tomorrow. Got to fill up the recycle bin and do some things, but we were building up with empty boxes in the garage, and I was getting lazy. And today was the day, so I'm breaking it down, doing all of that. And it's hot outside, drinking iced coffee, phones and things. I'm running around, I'm sweating. And I have to get inside. There's some other things that were going on. So anyway, as I'm walking through the garage, we have a stack of folding chairs. There's like 16 folding chairs, metal, that are to my right. The last folding chair decides, it's no big deal, but it decides to slide out, put your flat on the floor in front of me, where I kick it. And I was wearing flip-flops, and I kick it with my big toe. Ouch, it hurt. Note to self, pick up the chair and put it back in the thing. And I walked over, and I did some stuff in the other side of the garage, and I'm walking back through to go off, and I look down, and the folding chair that I had just kicked is now back in place. I didn't put it there. And I stop and I say, wow, that chair, Rita, I just kicked it. It was just on the ground. And I'm tripping, man. I am tripping. Rita goes, I picked it up and put it back. I was like, oh. And at that moment, I was so relieved because I know that I just kicked the chair, and I know that I walked past it, and I know that I told myself to put it back, and when I turned around, it was already back. Rita just happened to, and I didn't say, anyway, the bottom line is this. This is how Rita thinks. Rita goes, I messed up. I shouldn't have told you I put it back. And she was right, because if she hadn't have said that, she could have messed with me all day long, because that was a bizarre thing, and I didn't say it. Anyway, so that was my day today. Poltergeist, almost. All right, let's move on. Let's get to it. Let's get the show cracking. Happy birthday to today, guitarist Carlos Alomar, the Great, is 69 years old. Of course, played with everybody, but for me, most notably, David Bowie, because he played on a string of David Bowie albums, back to back, including Young Americans, Station to Station, Low, Heroes, Scary Monsters. Whew, right there. Happy birthday, Carlos Alomar. Also today, Motorhead's Phil Campbell. Phil Campbell today is 59 years old. On this day in history, 1902, the island of Martinique, their Mount Pelée begins the deadliest volcanic eruption of the 20th century. The following day, the city of St. Pierre, which some called the Paris of the Caribbean, was virtually wiped off the map when it was buried within minutes, and virtually everyone died instantly. There were only 2 reported survivors. One was a prisoner held in an underground cell on this day in 1902. Fader fact. Here you go. You ready? Before trees existed, Earth was covered with giant white mushrooms that were 24 feet tall and 3 feet wide and covered most of the Earth's surface. And that is your Fader fact. Tonight, it's another Fadernight, open lines all night long. And You know what the call-in number is, and if you don't, you need to write it down. 747-228-2051. So, let me hit this River Moon coffee. Here we go. rivermooncoffee.com. All right. So last night, our guest was Nick Redfern, and we discussed his new book, The Rendlesham Forest UFO Conspiracy, A Close Encounter Exposed as a Top Secret Government Experiment. And we discussed what he has suggested in the book, which is that the Rendlesham incident may have been the British military using holographic technology and drugs to simulate a UFO landing. Now, possible? Well, sure. Anything is possible, right? Did it change my mind and conclusions that I may have about Rendlesham? No, not really. But here's the thing. I listen to everything. Listen. My favorite pie is peach. Peach pie, warm, with vanilla ice cream on top. And it's got to be special vanilla ice cream. Someone may suggest to me the greatest pie in the world. And I'll listen. I will. And I'll try it. I have an open mind. But it's going to have to be a life-changing experience to sway me off of what I already know. And that is, peach pie is the best pie. Now, there is always a but, so I'm going to have to interject a but here. But I will listen, and I will always try to expand my world. It's what life is about. Now, back to Nick. When it comes to Rendlesham, there is a mountain of evidence, and I do mean a mountain, right? There is a mountain of evidence that is out there that you have to overcome when you publish a book like the Rendlesham Forest Conspiracy. He knows this. I know that he knows this. Now, Nick did the research. Nick got the data. He did the interviews, and he put it out there. That's it. He put it out there for the world to consider. It's really nothing more than that. Now, there have been UFO cases in the past that have been debunked. And we know this. This is an absolute fact. And then we have the situation of something like Roswell, where every type of theory has been presented. It was a weather balloon. It was Project Mogul. It was the Russians. It was the Germans. We had Congress. We had the GAO, the General Accounting Office. We've had senators look into it. So many books and movies and documentaries. And at the end of the day, we all come back around to pretty much one conclusion. Something crashed outside of Roswell in 1947, and it wasn't from planet Earth. Now, it may very well turn out to be the same thing with Rendlesham. Every idea or theory has been and will be and continue to be put out there, and we'll examine it, and we'll come to a conclusion. Seriously, it's really that simple. What is different about the Rendlesham case? Well, first and foremost, it's recent. It's modern. It's now. It happened the year I graduated from high school. It happened the year I crashed my car into my garage. The witnesses are still with us. The evidence is there, the tape, the memos. All of it is in the present. We don't have to rely on second, third, or fourth person accounts or documents that are questionable. It's the exact opposite. I have said many times on this broadcast, it is the words of John Burroughs that we need to be thankful for. He was there. We have the opportunity to sit down and talk to John and get his take, his insight right up front, his testimony in the now. Now, just like with Travis Walton, the ability to have these witnesses with us today to share their experiences is some of the most important things that we have with us so that we can try and figure out what is really going on when it comes to the UFO question and extraterrestrial contact. Now, tonight is Fadernight. Yes, it's open lines all night long. And I know that most of you want to talk about the show last night with Nick Redfern, and I understand it. I do. We need to constantly listen to everything. I have changed my mind. I have had my mind changed over the years on different UFO cases, researchers, individuals, witnesses, photographs, videos, books. All right? I've always had an open mind. I have never said this case is shut. And that's what we constantly have to do. It is the most beautiful thing about ufology. I don't know how many times I have said it. This is like the barber shop. This is like the barber shop. You remember the movie Barbershop? If you can't say it in here, you can't say it anywhere. In here, in ufology, and on Fade to Black, we listen to everybody. And we can fight, we can argue, we can have fun, we can laugh, we can do all of that here. But it stays here. We need to know that you can say or present anything. Now, what happens later, happens later. But in the now, we need to always have an open mind. Okay? Now, again, I know that you all want to talk about this tonight. And it's open line, 747-228-2051. And so does our first caller, who called in last night at the end of the show, and I didn't pick up. I didn't find out about it until this morning. So I'll be back after this short break with our first caller, who I didn't pick up last night, John Burroughs. That's right. This is Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. Thursday night, Fader night with open lines all night long. I'll be right back with John Burroughs after this short break. Stay with us. Follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. I'm right there. The soundbox is hashtag F2B. Stay with us. I'll be right back.
This is Nicole Church, daughter of you-know-who, and you're listening to Fade to Black on JimmyChurchRadio.com and the Game Changer Network.
You're listening to Jimmy Church, Fade to Black.
Fade to Black will now pause for alien identification.
The station that talks the net. KGRA Radio. When you take the beans from Central America with dashes of Indonesian and African mixed in and then roasted to the dark side of Fade to Black, you create the ultimate brew of fringe. Introducing the Fade to Black blend from River Moon Coffee. Yes, River Moon's darkest customized roast was created for the love of Fade to Black. The alchemy of masterful roasting and smoking the beans is in every sip of this full-bodied, dark Java. I need my coffee dark, deep, with distinct bittersweet chocolate highlights, just like the bunker. Leaning further into the darkness of the roast is Fade to Black blend from River Moon Coffee. Just click on the banner at JimmyChurchRadio.com and use the promo code F2BBLEND for 15% off of your order today. Go Beckley Teppy. This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and you can get our podcast for just $2 per month. All you have to do is click on the podcast banner over at JimmyChurchRadio.com.
OMG! People are jumping on board to the Life Change Tea Regiment. Brew, steep, and drink. for a gentle, tastes great cleanse. It's changing how they feel. See what everybody's talking about. Log on to getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. Life Change Tea aids in digestive slowdown and helps people get moving down a healthy path. We won't make claims. We'll just let you decide. Experience is much better than a commercial anyway. If you want results, log on to getthetea.com and purchase your super strength cleansing tea. You won't be disappointed. And if you're looking for some mind-body suggestions, go to YouTube and punch in the search bar Health Matters Now. That's Health Matters Now. Put power into your health now. So, getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com for super strength tea. And YouTube, Health Matters Now. That's Health Matters Now for valuable suggestions. Getthetea.com. The tea that makes you go.
9 out of 10 geneticists agree.
Fade to Black is not your father's radio show. On the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, The Planet.
Hi, this is Rob Reiner from Anvil, and you're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com.
What's up? I'm Chris. What up? This is Kyle Matthew, and you're listening to Jimmy Church Radio.
Welcome back, Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, it's Thursday night. It is Fadernight. Open lines all night long. 747-228-2051. 747-228-2051. And look, I see this is going to be a very interesting night. And last night, when it came to our conversation that we had with Nick Redfern about his new book, it was a great conversation, and it's something that, especially when it comes to Fade to Black and this show, just like I said in the intro, it's so important that always, especially inside of the UFO community, no matter what, we always have open minds. We have to. We absolutely have to. And if we want to sit around, I can imagine if I'm sitting at a UFO conference, sitting at the Fade to Black booth, kicking back, and somebody comes up and says, "Hey, I want to tell you my idea about Travis Walton. I want to talk about Kecksburg." And I go, nah, don't want to hear it. Don't want to hear it. But, nah, here in the UFO community, we don't listen to anybody. That's not what we do. It's not what we do. And anything as we're trying to figure out what is actually going on out there, we need to listen to everybody all the time. Last night with Nick Redfern, an absolutely amazing show. Interesting idea, interesting book, great. Let's put it into the pile of evidence that we have and ideas and theories, and consider and ponder what is really going on. But as I stated last night in this show, as I have stated many times over the years, one of the great voices, and I think that there are two on this planet. There are two. First being Travis Walton, second John Burroughs. And John Burroughs, to me, is a gift. He is a gift to all of us. Last night, he tried to call in. I bet he did. And I saw it, but I didn't know it was him. And I found out this morning, and he certainly let me know that I left him on hold last night, didn't pick up his call. But I said, "John, you'll be first up tonight." So I would like to welcome back to Fade to Black one of the two most important voices on this planet, John Burroughs. John, how you doing, my man?
Oh, good, Jimmy. How are you tonight?
John, I'm always in a great mood, as are you, and I am doing fantastic. And I know that we have a lot of things to talk about tonight, and you have some things that you want to say. But first and foremost, I haven't talked to you in a few months. How are you doing? How's the family?
I'm doing good. The whole COVID thing's changed the world, so I've had to adapt to it somewhat. But other than that, doing well.
Well, you're so tall. COVID would take a long time to defeat gravity and get up into your head and lungs. So you've got that going for you.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Gravity in your world is a whole different thing. So John, I don't know if, before we get started, and also I want everybody to know that this call is unscripted. John and I have not discussed anything at all about Nick's new book. I have no clue, which is a great thing because the show is always open and honest, and I think that having just a conversation between friends is something that the audience will always engage in. So that being said, so the disclaimer is out there, John, for the two of us. Let's actually start here. Have you read Nick's book?
No, I haven't, and that's kind of one of the first things I want to clear up, because one of the things Nick said last night was that he, was going to end up being on Kevin Randall's show down the road, and they had talked about it, and Kevin had told him, and I don't know if it's a miscommunications or what, but him and I had talked about his book. Well, I mean, the book only came out over the weekend. Now, I have a copy. It's going to be on the way, and I'm going to read it, but I haven't had the opportunity to read it. So did Kevin Randalls and I talk about technology being involved? Yes. That was a few months ago when I did his show, but we never discussed Nick's book. I mean, it's kind of hard to do that when you haven't had the opportunity to read it. So.
Right. Fair enough. Okay. But you did listen to the show last night, and I assumed,
yes, I did.
I assumed that most of the players involved in Rendlesham, knowing that this book was out, Nick was going to be on Fade to Black, that pretty much everybody was going to be listening tonight or last night to see what Nick had to say, and certainly you were out there and you were listening.
Right.
You were compelled to call into the show last night. I'm kind of glad that you didn't, because we wouldn't have had the time to talk last night, or I should say, I'm kind of glad that I didn't pick up your call, right? Because it would have been very limited time, but we can do what we want right now. You were compelled to call in, and I'm going to have to say why.
Well, because I wanted to kind of say this. Nick, over the years when we did Phenomenal Radio, we've had him on. He does a good job of research, and he puts 2 or 3, maybe more books a year, and he's really involved in the community. But what I was wanting to call in about last night was, hopefully, you don't usually allow somebody to call in during the guests and ask questions, but I really wanted to learn more about, because I haven't read the book, about how he came to this conclusion, and he did talk about that somewhat in the interview, but the idea that technology was involved is not wrong. It's just I'm not so sure that what he put out is exactly the way it went down, based on a lot of research I've done and been involved with some of the people inside the intelligence agencies and everything else that I've had the privy meeting with and talking to, and another guy I've been working with on research. And what I was also concerned about, and you've read his book, was how much in his book does he back up with really good documentation, documents that have been declassified to come back up what he said.
Well, I think that will always be, and I want everybody to go and read the book for themselves and draw their own conclusions. And although my opinion to me doesn't matter about this, I'll say this: after reading the book, I think that he did a pretty good amount of research, and he did go back and contact many players, of which, John, quite frankly, I didn't know anything about. And so I thought that he did put in the time. Did it change my mind on Rendlesham? No, it didn't. But I look at things always differently. I constantly want to learn. That's me. I constantly want to learn. I want my mind changed. I don't want to stay stagnant. You know what I mean? And his book gave me something to think about. But there is so much out there when it comes to Rendlesham, information that I've gotten from you directly on and off of the air. And the other stuff that is out there, I don't think any one Rendlesham book that has been published tells the whole story. I think that there are a lot of things that have been put out about Rendlesham that are completely off of the mark and not even close to being, part of the real truth. There's that element too, and we are forced to constantly filter. You were there. And there are things, even though you're a witness, John, you're the first one to admit that you don't know everything, and you only know singularly what you witnessed and who you communicated with. And you've told me that many times. Hey, man, I only know what I know, right?
Right.
So,
but where I was going to go with Nick is that I really want to read the book. And because some of the stuff he brought up has been addressed before, he brought up one of the early researchers that did a lot of work that was way ahead of her time. And what I mean by ahead of her time was she was already on the trail of technology. This was way back in the early 80s. And I had an opportunity to meet with her in Phoenix, about 88, I think it was, when she was speaking at a conference in Phoenix. And we sat down and talked for several hours, and she gave me a copy of her book, Skycrash, but what she went on from some of her books on technology were pretty amazing. But the fact that she was already into this way before anybody else had even bridged that gap, and that was Jenny Randall's. And she did a lot of good research, and she had some insight with some people inside the MOD. And then another guy he brought up was Ralph Noyes, which, if you read Ralph's book, it's an eye-opener. So about how he interwove, Rendlesham into this book that was supposedly fiction. You know what I mean?
Right. Colonel Hoyt.
yeah, Colonel Hoyt. But just some of the things that he was, and I guess at one point, I'll throw some names out. One of the people involved in the book could have been Nick Pope. Like Colonel Hoyt, I forget the name of the other person, but it could have been Nick Pope himself was involved. His character was being used in the book also.
Okay, so let me ask you. I'm going to ask you a string of direct questions. Okay, all simple, but kind of the obvious things. Which, first thing, if we are talking about holographic imaging and that kind of technology, and how advanced was it in 1980? I don't have any idea. But when you and Jim are on your bellies, right? And you heard me mention this last night, and you guys take a peek over the ridge, right? Which I still put myself in that position, imagining you two going through this. I don't even know how you're sane today, but nonetheless, or maybe you're not, but you are looking over the edge, and you see an object on the ground. It may be a craft. It's something. It's glowing. It's there. And how can that moment, A, be holographic? Because I think it was something physical, but I want you to answer that, number one. And number two, you and Jim saw the same thing. And if you're on some kind of mild hallucinogenic drug that was misted into the forest, how can you and Jim have the same hallucination?
Okay, well, let me answer this I'm going to have to backtrack a little bit, and then I'll get to the point. Number one, in 1980, what we saw, we both, there were three of us, walked back just totally perplexed because we couldn't understand it. You know what I mean? We're like, what could that have been? There's no way we have that technology. Okay, well, now, through research and a lot of declassified documents, we did have that type of technology that could have caused those effects. Now, the part that, without reading the book, so I'm just going to go with the possible LSD and stuff, which had come out before, it wasn't probably LSD. okay, because that was back with MK Ultra, okay, and MK Ultra CIA got busted for it, and so they I think they shredded documents or destroyed them or whatever, and Congress was all over it, and then Carter became president. What happened was, and this was confirmed from some people I've actually sat down with that were inside the military at the time, was that after Carter became president, and with all the heat coming down, all the technology the United States government was working on, to include the initial part of SDI, which was before Reagan even became president, was all transferred to the UK. So his first assertion was it was all UK. No, it was a combination of the United States and the United Kingdom working together through Marconi. And that's where you get into this whole thing with you have defense companies involved that work both in the United States and United Kingdom and sometimes other countries. So the first thing was we couldn't rationalize it because we couldn't accept it as anything that we could have. Well, if people only knew today what we've had that's never come out, it would blow their minds. Do you know what I mean?
I do.
There's technology that's either in R&D phase or operational now that hasn't even seen the light of day to the general public, that if they only could understand it, it would just be mind-blowing, okay? Never mind the fact that at that time I was, just in the Air Force, 20 years old, and I just couldn't accept it. But there's been more than enough information now that through research and hardcore declassified government documents, not, some blog saying this is what they think it is, but really good documents to support what was really going on in 1980, with inside UK and American government and technology-wise. Now, the LSD part isn't probably what hit us. Now, you have to go to Condign, which you've heard me talk about before.
Mm-hmm.
And if you go into the report, it talks about frequencies, how it alters your perception, your mind, how the phenomenon itself could do it, okay? So the EM frequencies is what caused us to see different things and affect what we saw, what we remembered, and how we reacted to it, not drugs. And the government was past the drug part, and they were looking at EM technology and how it could be used weaponized-wise. And that's right in Condign and other declassified documents that are real legitimate documents, not these made up, mm-hmm. like some of the MJ-12 documents and some of this other stuff that's been floating around.
Right. Well, okay.
So
that brings me to the point. What you saw, could technology have supported you thinking it was real? Or was it the opposite? Was it a real object and there wasn't any type of Project Bluebeam holographic, Coachella festival?
Okay, well, here's the thing, okay? First of all, I've never said I saw an object. Peniston did, okay? What I've always stated, to include my statement, was I saw some kind of lights, some kind of stuff. If you go to Halt's memo, he even said unexplained lights, okay? So, now we go to the next part that's real, that's very intriguing and very interesting, and there's a lot of documentation to support it. And the guy wrote a book, it was a researcher, it was actually working. He gets upset when it's tied to a government project, but it was funded through his university, and he was down there working on a phenomenon that's there. It's known to be there. It's been admitted to be there, to include even the Condign report says it was UAP, okay? Now, it's an energy, okay? Now, what's interesting is a lot of people think they were experimenting on us. What a lot of the facts show is they weren't experimenting on us, especially the first night. We just saw something and got involved in it. They were doing experimentations on the phenomenon that's there. It's an energy plasma type intelligent phenomenon that Condign exists, and the fact is that they were studying it, and it says in the Condign report for military application, and this was in 1980.
How do you explain all of you sharing, if it was a drug-induced hallucination or electromagnetic-induced hallucination? How do you explain everybody seeing the same thing, which also goes back to Halt on the first night too, as well?
No. Actually, Peniston's the only one who said it was triangular. Kabansak's never said that in the interviews he's done. I've never said that. And Halt's never said it was triangular. Listen to his tape and what he said.
Right.
He said it was like lights and eyes winking at you,
right.
which was different than what Peniston said he saw. Now, when it comes to Peniston, he's early on said certain things that he stood by through the years. There's been other things he's added to it and changed. But there was the initial thing of about certain things that he took place even in his earliest interviews. Okay, so here's where it gets very interesting, Jimmy. Okay, and it involves some of why I think I was visited by certain people, including Dr. Green and all that. I did the hypnosis. Did we ever talk about this on the air in 1988?
No, we've talked about it off of the air.
Okay, I went under a hypnosis session in 1988, and the reason why I did it was, do you remember this show that was going to come out, UFO Cover Up Live?
That's right.
I was invited to go on the show, and the executive producer, Kurt Brubaker, who's the guy that's deep in technology, which if you start looking at him, it starts to explain some of what went on. He brought me out to L.A., and I interviewed with the producer, and I forget his name now, but he was, one of the bigger guys trying to run this whole thing with UFOs are going to be exposed. Doty and all those guys were involved in it. And so we met for lunch, and I don't know if you remember the name Spagos, but we were at Spagos. They were trying to make a big deal that we were in there. It was hard to get in there.
You're dating yourself now.
Yeah, but I'm just saying it was hilarious.
Right.
They were trying to impress me, and I caught him trying to record me. His assistant was trying to record me, and I challenged him on that. And we didn't get along very well. So after the meeting, Brubaker took me back to his house in Beverly Hills and said, you know what, I don't really want you on this show, but I want to do a lot more research into your case, and I want to do something more deep involving Rendlesham. I'm like, okay, we have a problem here, John, because you can't remember what happened to you both times you got close to it. Let's put you under hypnosis. So he brought in a professional guy that was a police officer, and at the time I didn't give all the facts until after the hypnosis took place. But a guy by the name of Bob Emenegger, you know who that is, was involved with this inside the whole project and with some of the people inside that were working on this. And one of the guys that was working on this behind the scenes was Hal Puthoff. Okay?
Yep.
And what happened was this hypnosis is mind-blowing. And there's stuff in it in 1988 that when it was finished was like, what? This is unreal. This can't be possible. And over the years, step by step, what I was talking about and the way I was reacting and what I was remembering what was going on has come to fruition and been proven out that what I said in 88 was real. But here's the thing, okay, that is mind-blowing, but it ties into a lot of different things to me. One of the things that was going on, which was verified by some other people, including Puthoff in his group when I met with them later, that it was all passed around in inside intelligence agencies, was what I was actually able to communicate with something under hypnosis that apparently was probably from the future. And what was coming out was, now remember, this is in 88 now, not today with all the crazy stuff that's come out since then.
Mm-hmm.
I was interacting with a life form that was energy-based. And it's pretty much was within the conversation, what went on was this energy-based life form was probably us from the future.
Now, how do we unpack that, John? How do we unpack that? You know the words you are speaking right now, but for everybody listening, now we are left with, how do we unpack that?
Because, that was the problem. In 1988, it was like, what? This can't be real. This is unbelievable. And in fact, what I didn't know, or I suspected a little bit at the time, was the Brubaker's edge was he was technologically based. He had actually worked for Lear Jets, and then he worked for GM. And the funny thing was, through research, Brubaker worked at GM the same time Kit Green worked at GM. And so it all goes back around to technology and development stuff. And he was working on his own company that was looking at technology. And then along the way comes Chuck DeCaro that gets in the middle of it with Brubaker. DeCaro ends up going to work for a guy called Yoda, which was the top think tank guy for years, and he trained most of the Secretary of Defenses right up to Obama that came in and was the top guy in technology. Okay?
Now, for the audience, Chuck DeCaro was the journalist with CNN that was involved with the case from nearly the beginning.
Right, who then went into mind control and technology. He ended up working for Andy Marshall, and all you got to do is Google Andy Marshall, and you're blown away by his technology advancements and what he did. To include Andy Marshall was partly behind the collapse of the Soviet Union with SDI and everything.
Well, okay. This is, John, this is what obviously we need to do, is we're going to continue this conversation. I need to take a break here in a second, and we're going to continue all of this because there is so much more to talk about here, and we can't just stop in the middle of a couple of sentences here and now. So can I get you to hang on?
Sure, no problem.
Now, and one other thing, I really respect you for being a gentleman, and second, very respectful of everybody in the UFO community. I know that you have been through an awful lot over the years. I can't imagine the things that you and your family have gone through, as well as your friends and fellow servicemen and women in the Air Force that have endured just way too much. But you've stuck with this, and you are here tonight, and I want to thank you in advance. So with that, let's take a quick break. Our community respects you so much, John. So stay right there. John Burroughs, surprise caller last night and today. Talking about Nick Redfern's new book, and John just... Man, I don't know. John, I think you just broke a story here on Fade to Black, and I'm very rarely at a loss for words. So thank you for doing that, and we'll continue the conversation when we come back after this short break. Stay with us.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
This is KGRA Digital Broadcasting Station, Salt Lake City, Utah, Van Buren, Arkansas.
Hello, my name is Billy Carson, and I am a best-selling author and the founder of ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. Together with my team, we have built an all-new conscious streaming TV platform designed with every family member in mind. If you have ever wanted to travel the world and attend lectures and workshops from your favorite speakers but weren't able to, look no further. ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. There are dozens of workshops and lectures from speakers you know and love. We have also included amazing categories to assure that your consciousness is entertained and elevating on a daily basis. Amazing interviews, ancient history, ascension knowledge, wisdom teachings, documentaries, conspiracies, mysteries, health and fitness, conscious cooking, meditations, finance, yoga, and so much more. To start your free trial on any mobile device or computer, surf to ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. That's Forbidden Knowledge with the number 4, ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. Again, visit ForbiddenKnowledge.tv today.
Introducing the new Surfer Music app. Listen, Fadernauts, you know I love my music. This is my go-to for all things notes. The Surfer app is a brand new concept in music listening. Surfer is free, providing unlimited access to thousands of live streaming radio stations. Surfer is an exciting interactive listening experience. Discovery and surprise are built right in. Surfer is your destination to discover and rediscover great live streaming music. It features high-quality audio streams, free access to music from thousands of live streaming radio stations, unlimited listening, unlimited skipping. You get a music visualizer, and you can also select your favorite channels. Get it at the Apple App Store or Google Play. Just search Surfer Music or click on the Surfer banner at jimmychurchradio.com. Go Beckley Teppy.
Okay, nurse, let's get this man to the ER stat.
Right away, doctor.
We see this every day. Heart attack or angina pain due to blocked and clogged arteries. Chelation can remove obstructions or blockages from arteries and help avoid painful and expensive surgery. Now there's Angioprim. It's a liquid oral chelation product that you take with juice. You start to feel the results fast. Angioprim increases blood flow all over the body, and that means more energy and strength to take on the day with less aches and pains. 60 years of research has gone into chelation, and Angioprim is the result. A safe and easy way to unblock your veins and arteries from buildup that slow circulation.
Paging Dr. Jones. Please report to the emergency room right away.
Log on now to angioprim.com. That's ANGIOPRIM.com. Or to speak with a trained consultant. Give Angioprim a call at 954-882-7221. That's 954-882-7221.
Hello, I'm Katie, and you're listening to my main man, Jimmy Church, on jimmychurchradio.com.
Hi, this is Ray Hobbs here, repping the planet, and you're listening to my good friend, Jimmy Church, Fade to Black, on the Game Changer Network and the KGRA digital broadcast station.
This is Toby Kebbell. You're listening to jimmychurchradio.com. Don't hurt me, Jimmy. I'm only little.
Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier.
And this is Ari Gold.
We're the Honey Brothers.
Yes.
We are also Honey Brothers. Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier.
And I'm Ari Gold.
We're the Honey Brothers.
And you're listening to Jimmy Church.
The Revolution.
This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and you can become an official Fadernight by just going to our membership section at jimmychurchradio.com.
Hello, this is Serena Wright Taylor from Conscious Life Expo, and you're listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church, who holds the Lucky Pony record for the best astrological chart since 1963. True story.
This is Micah Hanks of the Gralien Report, and you're listening to Jimmy Church on Fade to Black, across the globe on the Game Changer Radio Network and the one and only KGRA Radio, The Planet.
Welcome back, Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. It is Thursday night. It is Fader night. But tonight we have a very special guest call in. John Burroughs is joining us. Doing a little bit of a follow-up of our show last night with Nick Redfern, discussing his new book, The Rendlesham Forest Conspiracy. And John, I just said, the words unpack. How do we unpack this? And I want to generalize a couple of things from what you just said. And that is, and I'm going to follow up with Peniston, which is this. It sounds like you are suggesting that Nick Redfern may be onto something, and that historically these things have been referenced in the past. Not all of it, but some of it. And you haven't read the book, but based on what Nick was saying last night, there could be some things to examine here, number one. Number two, that you didn't see anything when you looked over the hill. And you and I have discussed this so many times. I've tried to get you to say, what you had seen, but you had blacked out at that moment. So that is a great clarification. And then the third thing is that there may be some type of paranormal, interdimensional communication or witnessing with something from the future, not necessarily extraterrestrial, which leads me to Peniston, which is something that he's been very public about over the years. Is that where we are at right now before we move on?
Yeah. The only thing that's not totally right is what I did see something, but it wasn't a triangular object.
Right.
It was more like lights and some, what I drew in my statement. So, and it wasn't like what Peniston said, where then he got up, he went around, it touched, there was triangular nature. But there was something there, but it was unexplained lights, which is kind of what Halt's memo I said. There was something there, and at the time, it's 1980. You don't have the reference stuff you do now or documented access and stuff. But what we've been able to come up with supports that it was some kind of energy form or phenomenon. Never mind a declassified, well, what partial declassification of Condign. So did I black out? Not necessarily. If you go into Condign, it'll tell you that whatever you're dealing with could affect what you see and how you see it and what you remember and alter your memory. But not only that, have you ever heard of Persinger and the God's Helmet?
Say that again. I didn't quite hear you.
His last name was, he was a scientist by the name of Persinger, and he worked on the God's
Persinger,
Helmet.
Yes, of course.
Yeah. Well, he was working with Green put off on all those guys. And that is, they put this helmet on you, and the actual EM frequencies affect what you see and how you see it. And one of the things why they called it the God's Helmet was because when they zapped people with it, they thought they saw God. But it wasn't God. But that's what they perceived they saw based off of how they modulated the frequencies in the mind.
Now, okay, there is a few things that need to be directly talked about here, and that is what happened on the first night, what possibly happened on the second night, what happened on the third night, the first and second farmers' fields, crafts on the ground, crafts above the ammo dumps, beaming lights coming to the ground, crafts above the forest, the radar reports that have been out there, and the dripping molten metal that was described by Colonel Halt, of course, his tape. And everybody that was with Colonel Halt that night were also seeing the same things. But the other point to everything that I just mentioned, John, which is what I need you to comment on, you had just mentioned that everybody kind of had a different story that night, their own experience. And I mentioned that last night. And that is something that we're all trying to figure out. We know something happened in the woods. We're just trying to figure out what happened in the woods and whose testimony is closest to the mark, right? Isn't that kind of where we're at these days?
Well, yeah, but it's not fair to hold. Okay, let me rephrase this so I get it right. Each person that was out there directly involved had different perceptions. But if you listen to the Halt's tape, if you listen to the guys talking, they never said crap. They said lights. It's all they ever talk about. Here he comes from the south. Now he's beaming a light down at us. Now, what's very interesting, Jimmy, is we now have declassified documents that show that they were able at that point in time to use lasers and create, either through this phenomenon itself, which is something to do with plasma, they were able to create these blue lights with plasma and control them with lasers.
Now,
at that point, right there in that area, they were working on that technology.
Right. So is this the holographic projection technology that Nick Redfern is referencing?
Well, see, holographic's different.
It is.
You're throwing. No, this is where then people don't listen to me closely. There is a phenomenon. It's briefly discussed. What I mean by briefly is the whole nuts and bolts of it are not discussed in Condign. It's a lot of the stuff's declassified. In fact, I have good working inside information that was a cut and paste job that they put out when David Clark found out about some kind of report floating around. And the British are a little different than the Americans. They will release things, especially Clark, which at the time I was really upset with him when they said they released all the documents, and I found out later through his own emails, everything, and all the research, that he really did get hoodwinked by the fact that they had all their documents, that they told him they were going to release. He knew about them, but they didn't, and he spent 3 or 4 years inside the legal system, and he forced their hand on a lot of stuff. But getting back to it is, in Condign, what's been released, what's been declassified, and a lot of even that is still redacted, it talks about a real phenomenon, and they call it a UAP. And then you remember when she said there's a new thing called the UAP. It's an energy thing. And even what Trump just said, when he said, yeah, I've seen the tapes, and it's very interesting. Okay, And everything about this, including the Condign documents, which nobody wants to take serious because it goes back to what Redfern said last night. It's not the nuts and bolts ufology stuff they want to hear and believe in. They don't want to follow up with it. But in Condign, it admits they were going to continue working on this for military use.
Well, and you know what? No, after poring over Condign, and you and I, off of the air, you and I discussed very specific paragraphs of the Condign report, and we're trying to pick it apart to see what they were referencing. And only you understand these conversations that we've had in the past. But there was one point that I brought up with you that is in the report that I think is the most telling sentence in all of Condign, which is they say that these effects are known effects from UAPs. How, right. And I'm paraphrasing a little bit here, but that's pretty much word for word what is said in the report. And all that tells me is, A, UAPs are real. They know what they are, and they know the effects on humans because it's happened in the past, and this is just what happens. That's how they just spell it out in the Condign report, don't they?
Right. They go even deeper to say many people have been exposed to this. It's even in the Condign report, which Pope years ago got on Fox and talked about how there were dogfights with UAPs. And there was stuff going on. And I remember the guy that asked him, dogfights? Why haven't we heard about that? And Nick did as usual. He drew it back in and he got kind of excited on this interview, and he said more than he maybe should have. And he kind of drew it back in, but he said, yes, there was stuff going on, which is in Condign, where there are things that went on that with the interaction with aircraft and UAPs, to include the fact that different mission commanders that involved air wings and stuff were briefed on not only if there was an experience with a pilot or a group, flying, how to try to handle it afterwards or during, to include the pilots themselves are briefed on what to do and not to do with the encounters that took place.
So where do you think we are? I mean, obviously it's such a basic question, but where are we? When we look at Rendlesham, and I was asked a few times today, even Rita said, Rita said, okay, so where are you with this? And it hasn't changed my mind, and I'm talking about Nick's book and the show last night, because I know that something extraordinary happened in Rendlesham Forest. I just know this. I don't think it was hallucinogenic drugs and holographic tech. That I don't believe.
It very well most likely was, and I say likely because I haven't been able to put all this information out yet, which I plan on doing, in book form with documents to support and stuff. I'm working with a UK researcher that he's done an unbelievable job. That we'll be able to back it up. And what I mean by that, I totally want to read Nick, Redfern's book, and what I heard from him say last night was, well, when you guys talked about how we're not sure yet and there's not enough evidence, well, there's not yet, as Nick Pope would like to say, there's not a UFO in a hangar, but there's a ton of information that paints a picture that can explain a lot of this. And what was funny is the cutting-edge stuff that we're working on in 1980 and earlier is stuff you're seeing with Tic Tac and other things today.
So you're suggesting terrestrial?
I'm suggesting this, and I'm glad you gave me an answer to say this. It's stuff that we've gleaned by studying whatever this phenomenon is, which we never get to the bottom of because too many people are arguing about it's, a human-type form or something from Zeta Reticuli.
Right.
They don't want to accept Condign at all. They don't want to accept that there's just some kind of energy form out there that's most likely a life form that God only knows where it comes from, which even could be us from the future, okay? And the bottom line is it's just like everything else that goes on. It's all tied up, and it hits people's points. They don't want to look at the deep down, the research at it, and they don't want to go where they don't want to believe is possible. And like Redfern said last night, his book probably won't be a bestseller because it's going to touch on things that the people inside ufology don't want to deal with. And just like all the stuff that we've worked on and we're going to put out, a lot of people in ufology aren't going to agree with it or like it. But we've got documentation, and we can paint a pretty good picture of what went on probably in 1980 and how the technology's evolved, and even explain how Tic-Tac exists. And one of the things that goes on, Jimmy, is like, okay, you think about the 6 and 15, right? In 6, it was probably R&D, and you look at the area it was, and Alzondo slipped up, or he said something on what's the name of the show they did, and they're doing the second year on?
Unidentified or something.
Yeah, unidentified.
Right.
There was one of the episodes, it was episode 3 or 4, where he said, he went, as they were going to the break, he said, there's radars and stuff down there in that general direction that could have played a part in it. They broke, and he never came back and talked about it. Because here's the thing. The technology in 6 and even in 15, because if you go to Florida and you look at what's down there, stealth technology is all down there. Radars, all this new technology, everything they're working on is right down in the area where it would be operational that could have affected that last strike group. Never mind the helmet that they're using on, they started using it in 6, which could control, the pilot could control drones and all kinds of other things, okay? And they haven't been able yet totally to get the energy or the power source defined enough to keep it where it can be worldwide operational. Or at least in 6 they haven't, and they were getting closer in 15, and God only knows where it is now. But it does tie into a phenomenon that's intelligent-based.
Now, are we getting closer and closer to a Jacques Vallee point of view and theory on this, where Jacques says, hey, we're probably dealing with something completely interdimensional, not necessarily physical, and that's where we need to focus the science right now?
Yeah, and the thing is remember when Jacques came out with this, he was attacked unmercifully by the people inside ufology.
No doubt. No doubt.
And they don't want to go off the nuts and bolts thing of some kind of, saucer has traveled across the universe to show itself briefly to us, but then we've never been able to nail it down. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I don't want to get off that idea either.
Hey, look, if what we've uncovered and what we've learned from this phenomenon and the technology we're developing or have developed and the uses that can be done with it, and one of the other things that slowed it down was the computing ability, which we now have quantum computing.
Sure.
Which was a key to making this work. And the energy abilities to generate the energy. Like, I think I talked on your last show and if you notice, what did leak out a little bit was Put Off on those guys got a contract with the tank company.
Immediately, yeah.
Well, yeah, but check this out. Through Condign, I got the MOD to admit that they had developed a weapon off of this phenomenon, the UAP. They threw the kitchen sink at me. They gave me a document that was 99% blacked out. And what they did was they admitted that they've studied it, it's existing, and they were working on technology, and they have a weapon. And the one thing they didn't black out was a tank company that's based in Ohio in the United States. Now, what's interesting is I've also learned that one of the things they're working on with tanks, which is the safest way right now, but they're working on it within the ship, the Navy ships too, but the aircraft is, we talk about this, where they can create a bubble, a plasma bubble, and it can disappear completely.
So, okay.
It's like cloaking.
Okay. I know that you have said in the past that you don't know what went, what it was and what happened in Rendlesham, and that you're open to any ideas here. Are you still including an extraterrestrial ET event as a possibility in Rendlesham?
I'm concluding the fact that there was a UAP, whatever a UAP is, was involved. It was in that area. It's in other parts of the world, even with Skinwalker. And the fact is that the government is aware of it, they understand it, and they're studying it, and they're utilizing it. And our technology that we're developing from it is coming from whatever a UAP is. But the bottom line is, I can't tell you 100% what a UAP is yet, but I can tell you and show you, and I will here eventually with this great researcher, give a very good picture of where our technology was right before our incident, what we probably were involved with, and how it's evolved over the years, to include why would the government say I wasn't in when this took place? Why are my records still classified? Why did the Department of Justice have to get involved in all this? Why did the CIA guy show up that's a doctor show up? And the one other thing I didn't tell you about was with the Carl and this guy. When the CIA guy showed up, met with my attorney, and when you asked me one time before, was I tied down certain things? Yes, because of attorney-client privilege through this doctor and my attorney. The bottom line was he provided documents that were given to the VA and the Department of Defense. It brought in DOD doctors, and I got my surgery, and I eventually got my settlement, right?
Mm-hmm.
But ultimately, one of the things that was in these documents that I can't release, I called up Chuck DeCaro because of who he was and what he worked on. And I read him. I asked him some questions. He says, where are you going with this, and how do you know about this? And I read him a paragraph from the document, and he went batshit crazy. And he said, how did you learn this? Where did this come from? This is national security. And whoever gave you this, we need to find out who it is. Well, we talked about it, and they ended up having a meeting with Green, DeCaro, and Marshall, and found out later Green was involved with the Marshall Group anyway. So this is all evolving technology and stuff. And that's one of the other things was with my DNA and everything else that got involved with this. I have been careful what I've said because I've got a lot of proof, emails, documentation, even what Green said publicly. But it's been hard to get enough documentation to back up what I think's going on. And we're really down that line now where we've got a lot of stuff that's going to support it. And that's why I've been super careful.
And do you include in that part of all of this in the UAP side, do you include with that the possibility of an experiment on U.S. personnel?
I don't think it was the first night. I think it was involving the testing. Pike in his book even said they were working on the phenomenon, and they were blasting EM frequencies through there were underground tunnels there that are real, and they were used for other things early on, but they were using them for them to blast the phenomena and do other stuff. So I think the first night we just went out there and we weren't supposed to, as far as they didn't think we were going to be out there, they didn't plan on it. But then I do think probably, if not night 2, night 3 was more of probably, well, it's the cat's out of the bag, and now we're going to have to, we're going to have to wrap this up some way, and we're going to have to figure it out more. So at that point, that third night, maybe there was some expectation on us based on what had come out the first 2 nights.
And the third part, which is probably just as important as the first 2, is that if we look at all of this and then we add in a time travel element, is the military aware of contact with us from the future, and are they continuing this?
Well, that's when you have to get into, again, put off and Stargate and remote viewing. Because remote viewing's technically travel. You're using your mind to travel to the future, to see things and look for things. So, in fact, yes, they are aware that there's a possibility, or that you can go out and look at the future. Now, the way time travel has been explained to us is not necessarily the way it is, and what they know. Do you understand what I mean?
Do. I fully understand.
It's for great TV and everything else, but it's probably not. And I say probably because I want to be careful, because, again, I haven't done I haven't done a lot of research recently. This guy has been working on a lot of it for quite a while, and he's putting it together really well. But ultimately, I don't want to botch it right now until it's finalized. But yes, there's the ability to go forward and look. And it appears to be, and he's uncovered documents and what they were working on too, that they can, whatever this is does come back and can pop in and out at points, just like Skinwalker, Rendlesham, and other areas.
Now, before I let you go, Jonathan, I do want to thank you for taking the time to call in tonight, and obviously we'll circle back and do another show here very soon and take this further. But much about all of Rendlesham has been focused on the ET element and that part of it, which I understand why, because I'm part of that. Jim Peniston and the time travel aspect of this has always kind of gotten lost in the smoke and the mist. Is this a time where we go back and revisit Jim's testimony and bring Jim back and start talking about this time travel aspect?
Sure. I mean, the thing is that he's got a book. They're supposedly coming out the second part, and he's got his feelings about what it is. And the thing is what you and Nick Redfern talked about last night. Okay, when you see something, just like these pilots saw, like the one guy said, dude, it's something, it's drones, a whole fleet of them, right? But when you see something you've never seen before, you don't have any reference point to what it is, what it's capable of. And one of the things was, it's been confirmed in 6 those helmets were out there. They were using them on the 18s. It's evolved, and now it's the 15 or the F-35, and they can control drones and all kinds of swarm drones and everything else. But when you can't explain it, you have to start looking and doing research. Now, what I can say about Peniston is his hypnosis in 96 affected a lot of what he feels is possible and what's going on. And only the audience can go back, look at his testimony over the years, look at his book and everything else, and make their own decision. But what I am saying is, what I feel is there is an energy, and it's something that could very well be from the future based on my hypnosis and some other research that maybe can come back and forth and pop in. And what he even said at one point, which hasn't been talked about a long time, was they were back looking, which is what in my hypnosis said the same thing. And there was some really strange things that parallel between both of our hypnoses. That mine was in 88 and his was in 94 or 95. That really opened my eyes up when I saw the transcript from his after mine. And from what I understand, he never saw mine, at that point.
That was my next question.
He didn't know about my hypnosis. And my hypnosis had been completely kept quiet. In other words, I signed an exclusive agreement with Brubaker that it couldn't be released without my permission, and it never came out. It's never been, other than Linda has used little clips of it that are now on YouTube that have come out in her presentations that she's done over the years. And one of the things that's pretty moving is, if you see it, if it's still up there, is when the guy says, "Look at the life form," or what is the blue light, and it comes back. It's the life form.
Man, oh
and
man!
This was in 1990. This was in 1998, Jimmy, way before all this stuff has been floating around and going on.
John, there's a part of me that is very self-serving, and I just want to keep this conversation going. There's another part of me that says there's a whole nother show here that needs to be discussed. I don't know which way to go. What are you doing right now? Do you got to go hang out with the family, or do you want to hang on for another segment?
It's late here. I'm in Central Time Zone. It's getting close to my bedtime,
Okay, because if I stop this right now, I'm going to have a lot of angry people on Twitter that I'm going to have to deal with. Why don't we do this? Just hang on. Sure. Let's do one more segment. Everybody that's on hold right now, I'll get to your calls, and we'll do a full hour of phone calls after John tonight. Because, John, when I come back, I actually want to talk about what you remember with the communication in those hypnosis sessions. Before you say you can't, you're going to after this short break. This is
I'll talk about it. I'm putting it out now because there's stuff that supports it. Because let me tell you, Jimmy, watching myself on tape afterwards, it was like, how in the heck
I don't know how.
Real.
Yeah, you know what? I'll never do it. I'll never do it, John. Let's take a break right here. This is Fade to Black. John Burroughs, surprise phone call. You know what? We're just going to continue the conversation. We will have an hour of phone calls tonight, though, so just you wait. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. More with John after this short break. Stay with us.
Way out here, we listen to Jimmy Church.
You're listening to Fade to Black.
Always on the edge of the hottest alternative talk. Jimmy Church with Fade to Black. KGRARadio.com.
¿Qué tal, mis amigos? Yo soy Mario Carson, el tiburón, y los invito para que escuchen a mi buen amigo Jimmy Church Radio. ¡Claro que sí!
Do you want to be an official Fadernight? Of course you do. This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black. Just go to our membership section at jimmychurchradio.com. Introducing the new Surfer Music app. Listen, Fadernauts, you know I love my music. This is my go-to for all things notes. The Surfer app is a brand new concept in music listening. Surfer is free, providing unlimited access to thousands of live streaming radio stations. Surfer is an exciting, interactive listening experience. Discovery and surprise are built right in. Surfer is your destination to discover and rediscover great live streaming music. It features high-quality audio streams, free access to music from thousands of live streaming radio stations, unlimited listening, unlimited skipping. You get a music visualizer, and you can also select your favorite channels. Get it at the Apple App Store or Google Play. Just search Surfer Music or click on the Surfer banner at jimmychurchradio.com. Go back, Lee Tappy.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7 with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
You listen to us, and we listen to you. And so does the CIA. KGRARadio.com.
If you have hard water, the lime scale not only leaves white spots, it clogs pipes and breaks down appliances, costing you hundreds of dollars in energy and wear. Eliminate lime scale and other water issues like brown staining and bad odors with HydroCare water products available from Wave Home Solutions. Wave's affordable water systems don't use salts or chemicals. You'll love the way your water tastes, smells, and looks. Satisfaction guaranteed. For more information, go to bestwater123.com. That's bestwater123.com.
Are you intrigued by paranormal talk radio? You'll love the new paranormal radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the paranormal radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
You are listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Oi, oi, I'm Reese Evans. You're listening to Jimmy Church. This is Revolution. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution is on radio. Ciao.
Welcome back. Oh, man. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. This is Fade to Black on the Game Changer Network and KGRA The Planet. Hello to everybody out there listening. And I know that everybody was expecting a Fadernight tonight. So was I, right? Open lines all night long. But when we get the opportunity to speak with John Burroughs like this on a very important night, we're going to take advantage of that. So, John, again, thank you for taking the time. And none of this would have happened if I hadn't caught your private message to me 24 hours late. Right? That's the funny part about all of this. Now, I wanted to ask you really quick. I don't want to spend too much time on this, but were you surprised about the news today about Project Blue Book being canceled for season 3?
Well, I mean, I haven't really looked at it that closely, but the numbers I was watching your intro tonight, the numbers that they're putting out were equivalent to what, Ancient Aliens draws, and even that, the show that we talk about that History's producing now with Lou Elizondo in it. I mean, the only thing I could think of is that the numbers weren't high enough to support the actors, where, as Ancient Aliens and stuff is so much labor intense. That would be the only reason why maybe it's not making enough money. I mean, I just don't know. I mean, you'd have to really ask them why. I mean, I don't know. I don't know
either. I'm perplexed. I just started to get into my stride, with the show, where I started to put away the historical inaccuracies and just enjoy it as something that was fun to watch. And I was starting to get into it. And then they end season 2 on a cliffhanger like that, and then a month later to get canceled. Yeah, it's a bit surprising.
I don't know. I mean, again, it's just no different than anything else. What did Trump tell Tucker Carlson this summer? We've got great pilots. He believes they saw something, but it's not from an alien type of thing. And then he kind of does a reverse, on his last thing when he came out, it's very interesting, and it needs to be looked into further. So what does that mean? You know what I mean? Where is this going,
Yeah. These are very interesting times for sure. Just like you dropping the bombshell in the last segment about, the possibility of time travelers. And you found out through hypnosis that you may have actually had direct communication. Now, when you say something like that, and you've gone back and watched and reviewed the transcripts of this, when you say communication, what went down?
Well, when I went under, it was this whole thing is strange because at the time I didn't know Emanator was involved in all this other stuff, and the working group behind it was pretty intense with technology and everything else. It seemed like I was a little suspicious, being that I was a cop and everything else, because it just didn't add up. But at the time, I didn't realize the heavy hitters were behind, and some of them I didn't find about till years later. But ultimately, he tried to put me under, and he couldn't. Then he did something really strange. It's right on tape, and only maybe a handful of people have ever seen this. But he came and he ran his hand across the top of the bridge of my head and back across. And when he did that, I went under just like that.
So it was easy.
After he did that technique, whatever it was,
right?
And I've never been able to explain what he did. But the point being was that he was able to put me under pretty easily then, but he couldn't at first the normal way. But he did something else that he knew about that he did, and I went under. So we started going through what happened, and as we got to a certain point, he kind of went off script. And what I mean by off script was, you normally would want just to talk about what you remember, what you saw, right? Well, we got to the part where I met with Halt on the third night, and Halt said they were over us, they were communicating with us, and everything else. This comes out of my hypnosis. And he says, see if you can talk to whatever, the lights or whatever. And all of a sudden, I started talking to the lights. I started communicating real time with whatever this was.
What Man, how do I even ask a question right now, John? I don't even know where to go with this. Were you, if you're communicating, that means you are hearing something, right?
Right. I actually changed. My whole personality changed, and there was a conversation taking place. And you know how I can be kind of argumentative and disagree?
A little bit.
There was things that he was trying to interject that whatever was going on was saying, nope, not possible, not real, not possible, didn't happen. No, you're wrong. This isn't this. This is the way it is. That's the way it was. And I've had it evaluated by somebody in the hypnosis field that was certified in hypnosis therapy and everything else. It's very reputable. And they clearly said that they very rarely, if ever, seen anything like this. Like what they saw going on was just kind of like, what? How is that even possible?
Did you get any?
It appears.
Did you get any data? You know, what time? When from the future? Who they were? Why were they here? Were there, anything? Any? Like facts?
Okay, here's what, it didn't come out, like how far they were from and all that. What was interesting is they got really, really worked up. I was able to talk about, I'll just go ahead and say a couple things that at the time was a joke, but they had, what this life form was involved with Mars and the moon. And you know how back then it was the man in the moon and all that other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now they're coming out with all this stuff about Mars and the moon. But it went into a little bit of detail of why they were there, what they were doing. And then this was a couple of the really strange things that happened. Okay. One of the things they said was they were back looking at us now because they feel that what they are is what we were before, and they've evolved to this, and that they're looking at all this. And then one of the things that was implied was, and this is where it gets really freaky, Jimmy, that I've had to live with, two things. One, they'll be back for us, or for me. They said they'd be back for me eventually. But the other thing was, I very well could have been talking, back then consciousness was not a thing in 88, right?
Right.
Okay. This energy form could have been me, how I've evolved into the future.
When they said they were involved with Mars and the moon, and there was information about that, what were they talking about? That were they on Mars and the moon like right now? That is part of their exploring the past, or that they were involved with Mars and the moon in the future?
Well, he didn't ask a lot about that, but it seems to be, and I haven't looked at the tape for a while, they were implying there was a civilization there, at least at one point, on Mars.
In the past?
In the past, yes.
And it was them?
Yes. They had evolved. Whatever this was had evolved to this life form. And like I said, in the one clip, when he says, now look at the lights, and what is it? It's the life form. So what I'm getting at is this was back in 88 now, not today's with all the consciousness stuff and all this other stuff. This was a guy that had been in the Air Force, didn't know how to deal with what was going on, was not a reader, didn't have the internet back then and all that other stuff, and all this craziness comes out. Now, at the time, it was like, wow, it's just like so many things that have happened. But then you start researching and things start evolving, and then you start to be able to paint a picture and a pattern of documents and research and what was going on. You know what I mean?
I do. And you have to ask the question, why you? It sounds like this energy being, let's just go with that. It's, I don't want to say blue light, but this energy being specifically said that either they were there for you or they were going to come back. Is it suggesting
they said
that
they would be back for me?
Right. Was that because John, was that because your meeting of them in Rendlesham that night was by chance? That was by accident? Or they knew that you were going to be there in the forest that night because they were from the future and now they're back to finish what, you know what I mean? And that they weren't.
Yeah, I know. And unfortunately, a lot of that wasn't covered to even include what I could try to remember when I got close to it, what I really saw, because it got into that. And eventually, It was like I lost interest. Whatever it was, lost interest in the hypnosis guy, and it just shut down. And then, so Linda Mon-Thu saw the tape and was blown away by it. And she wanted to do some follow-up stuff because she felt there was a lot of stuff missed. You know, like Linda is. She always looks at stuff and says, well, this should have been asked, this should have been done.
Right.
So we got she got involved with somebody in Arizona that was out through Stanford University. She got this person's name, and I went under hypnosis with this particular person. Now, something was blocking me at that point, other than a very few strange things, and she's released a couple of clips. At one point, in one of the clips, it shows me almost levitating off the couch, and she wanted me to go down this tunnel that appeared and contact the blue lights, and I go into it, I can't, and I'm shaking, my whole body's shaking, and I'm lifting almost like off the couch. And so something was blocking me from going any further on what it was and everything else.
Why you?
That's never, okay, I don't know. I don't know, but according to, like, why have all these different people showed up in my life that I can prove? Why the DNA testing? Why does it show some anomalies that are just mind-blowing, but I have the proof that they're there? Why have these people shown interest in me? Why did they put me under hypnosis? Why are they interested in all of this? I can never get a straight answer from them. I mean, it's just like with Kid Green. He's very coy at everything, and one of the things, I'll give you an example of Kid Green. He'll say he's now under the assumption that the majority of what people are seeing is from here, right?
Mm-hmm.
But he won't elaborate, and he leaves it open. He doesn't elaborate how he got the technology and everything else. He's just saying what you are seeing is our own Delta technology. But where did we learn and glean and get this technology from?
What I find interesting about this is that Kit Green seems to have been in the middle of the craziest elements of everything, not just ufology, right? It's right. SRI, it's crash retrievals, it's the Wilson document, the alien autopsy film, now TTSA, John Burroughs and Rendlesham. Kit Green seems to be everywhere where these stories are the most intriguing, and I can't quite figure that out.
Well, I can kind of explain that to you.
Sure. His
job, and he got an award for something that it's been somewhat explained, but he got more than one award from the president. He actually, it's been proven, he briefed presidents on this. He worked at the Weird Desk, but he was involved with that little part of it. But his main job was Soviet technology and what they were working on and how they were developing. And in that time frame that he was working with the CIA before he left them, he became a contractor for more than one intelligence agency. It was like all three of them. He was studying and involved with all their technology, and they were working on mind control, MK Ultra, remote viewing, all this stuff. So he was involved in all this stuff from way back.
You know what I mean? I do, all under the guise of a pathologist in Chicago, right? I just do autopsies.
No, it's Detroit.
Or Detroit. Yeah. Okay, Detroit.
Yeah, but see, most people don't know this, and I didn't even know this, and this is another whole wacky story, but these college universities are all being used for different research and stuff on technology and, some of this other stuff. And his university, if you go back and look at those documents that were released that Knapp was involved with about the different stuff that remember now, here's another weird thing. What happens? McCain gets involved in my case. Everything goes down. When everything settles, who do they go to? Put off on those guys?
Yep.
They go to McCain's Committee for Technology Money and Briefings, including DIA papers that are given to McCain.
Bingo.
And what happens? These guys are all working on college universities. What's his face? Who's the guy that worked close with Put Off? He's another physicist. I can't think of his name now. He's all over TTSA and stuff. He now is
Eric Davis. Eric Davis.
Yes, he now works at a college university.
Right. Yes, he does.
They hide under this technology and this research in these universities.
Now, and I'm just going to put this out there, everybody. I don't know how many guests, John, that I have had on this show, extraordinary guests with things to say, will throughout the interview and then suddenly go, and then, of course, Hal Putoff and Kit Green contacted me. It's like I hear it over and over again. And when it comes, back around full circle, Rendlesham, one of the most important events in history, and yourself included, specifically, here we have Hal Putoff and Kit Green in the middle of the Rendlesham story. Does that surprise you?
Well, the whole thing, just when you think it's safe to come out of the water, something weird happens. But another thing with Putoff that most people don't know about was he was in DIA, he worked with SRI, and he was involved in all this technology. So not only was he worked with remote viewing, but he was involved in all this. And one of the things that, Jimmy, I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but we've uncovered proof with documents that the White House actually was involved in our event.
In Rendlesham.
And it was involved because they were using... Are you aware of Rendlesham is where they were working on the death ray out there at Bowsey, and they discovered radar, and all the infancy and radars and all this death rays and all this other technology and lasers and everything were developed right there.
That's right.
And what they did was they took the original radar stuff, and there's documents to support this. They modified it. They ran cables, which was right next to the lighthouse, and they were using this technology to beam EM frequencies inland towards our location. And we have the stuff. And I've had a lot of exchanges with technology with Putoff over the years, and he admitted he was involved, not necessarily at Rendlesham, but he admitted that he was involved in this technology, and he knew what it was and how it caused issues, and affected people and could affect things, and it was being involved with the military.
Is there something further that we need to take into consideration when we talk about Kit Green and Putoff and others? There's a key element here, and that is the CIA.
DIA too.
DIA too, but specifically the Central Intelligence Agency, because of, and going all the way back over to today with the TTSA and Putoff and the CIA and who is staffing that is one of the consistent... When we break all of this down and we look for a common denominator, we start to see this play over and over again, don't we?
Yeah, and then Jacques Vallee, too, in different ways, is in the middle of all this in his research and stuff.
Before I let you go, again, John, thank you so much, man. What an enlightening, extraordinary evening. I didn't expect any of this tonight, and one of my favorite things to do is to learn something, and wow, you brought it tonight. Because it just blew by in a conversation, right? We're just having a conversation. But Jacques Vallee said one thing that we've all pressed for him to say over the years, but he's avoided it. And he said this. I'm paraphrasing, but this is pretty much a direct quote. He said, of course, we have retrieved flying saucers and craft. Of course. This is fact. But, and then he went on. But he actually said that sentence. And he's never crossed that line in the past. It's always been interdimensional. There's another element to this. There's physical things that happen to human beings and what is causing. But he's never said anything like that, which goes back to what you just said. When everything is, you look at who is involved in all of this, Jacques Vallee is right there, too. He is certainly in the know, isn't he?
Right. And unfortunately, Edgar Mitchell's gone, but he really was neck deep in all this. And one of the things that, I know we got to close out, but I got to talk to him before he passed, and I pressed him towards the end of the conversation about Condign and everything else. And, I do have the tape, but what happened was he said that Condign was a major part of what we were dealing with, to include what a UAP is, and that there's no doubt what we encountered in Rendlesham was UAP based, and that what a lot of what's going on is related to. Now, he would not go further what a UAP was, and again, that is the hardest sticking point to get to. What exactly is a UAP?
John, you are the reason why we are going to get to the bottom of all of this. And thank you, my friend. Thank you so much. And my best to the family. I want you to enjoy your weekend and whatever lockdown means for you and your family, that at least you're making the best of it and everybody is safe. And then we'll continue on with a very special show in the future. Thank you so much, John.
All right. Thanks, Jimmy. Have a good night.
You're the best. And that's John Burroughs. And I do want to remind everybody that today, getting into the office and working today, I get this message from John from yesterday. I missed it, but it would have meant that last night John would have been on with us for 5 minutes instead of 90, which is what we just did today. John Burroughs, thank you so much. This is Fade to Black. Okay. It's Thursday, which means it is Fadernight, and that is open lines all night long. So with that, I am going to take a quick break, and when I come back, we'll get to all of your phone calls. 747-228-2051. 747-228-2051. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. I'll be right back after this short break. Stay with us.
Hi everybody, this is Rob Halford, the Metal Guard on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
This is KGRA Digital Broadcasting Station. Salt Lake City, Utah. Van Buren, Arkansas.
Why is it we're not very good with our health regimen until it's too late? We don't put oil in the car until the engine blows up. When the body's out of balance, your health is not so good. Give your body some love. Log on to GetTheT.com. That's GetTheT.com. Try our Life Change Tea, which cleanses you from harmful intruders. A clean colon is one of the ways to bring the body in balance. We also carry organic supplements to help you get where you need to go. So do your body a favor. Log on to GetTheT.com. That's GetTheT.com. You can even visit our sales page to save some dough. Does anybody call money dough anymore? Anyway, if you're looking for short, helpful health tips, go to YouTube and punch in Health Matters Now. That's Health Matters Now. So, log on to GetTheT.com, shop, get balanced, then learn some cool tips at Health Matters Now. You'll be glad you did. That's GetTheT.com.
Your contact for current news and trending topics. KGRARadio.com.
This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and I only drink Fade to Black blend coffee from River Moon. Just click on the River Moon coffee banner at jimmychurchradio.com. Promo code F2B Blend.
So are you tired of being tired? Well, then it's time to get the tea. Hey, it's Lisa here to tell you about this all-natural, all-organic tea I've been drinking that has had great results for over 20 years. It's called Life Change Tea, and it's specially formulated to help detoxify and cleanse your kidneys, liver, colon, and blood all at once. The colon is one of the most ignored organs in the human body. The faster that waste is eliminated from the body, the less time that waste sits in our intestines, spreading toxins toxins to our bloodstream. This tea helps cleanse chemicals caused by outside intruders from our entire digestive system. And get this, weight loss can be a side effect. And with continued use of the tea, you can experience clearer, healthier, younger-looking skin, increased energy, and a happier outlook on life. So if you're tired of being tired, get the Life Change Tea at getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. And like me, you'll be glad you did.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi available, you can still listen to every minute of Fade to Black by just calling 605-562-4482? No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan and no extra cost if you have unlimited minutes. Just call 605-562-4482. You can listen to me, Jimmy Church, on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Go Beckley Tappy.
You want to know a secret? I love ponies. I really love ponies. I'm serious. I couldn't stay sane without ponies to brush.
Why fade to black? Because you never got that pony, damn it.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
Welcome back, Fade to Black, Thursday night Fadernight. I am your host, Jimmy Church. Wow. Okay. It's open lines, 747-228-2051. And I'm just going to say it right now. And this is the tweet I'm about to send out. I can't believe the conversation that just went down with John Burroughs. You are all spoiled. And you are. You know it. What a conversation. Thank you so much, John. And you've given us so much to think about. And the phone lines are open, 747-228-2051. And I'm excited. I'm happy for all of you. Man, if I was a Fadernaut right now listening to that, I'd be like, this is what it's about. This is what radio is about. This is what disclosure is about. This is the conversations that need to be had. And that was with John Burroughs, one of the most important people right now when it comes to figuring out the UFO, ET, anything phenomena question that is going on right now on this planet. To me, there are two. Well, the rest of the Rendlesham witnesses, for sure. But John Burroughs is so important, right there with Travis Walton. And when you think about the documentation and the witnesses behind what went down in Snowflake, Arizona with Travis and the logging crew that day, and the witnesses and the testimony and evidence that we have from Rendlesham, and John Burroughs is here right now discussing it. It's very special. You really need to be thankful. And if you get a chance to reach out to John, do just that and say, John, thank you so much, man. All right. With that, let's go to the phones. Let's see who was up first. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Who's calling?
Hey, Jimmy, it's Sarah Ann. How are you?
Hi, Sarah Ann. What'd you think about that?
How you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing great. Can you imagine, coming off a conversation like that? How are you doing?
Well, I'm a little bit torn because I originally was calling in to tell you a real ghost story, but then, how can I ignore that conversation?
You can't.
So,
you can't.
If it's okay with you. And actually, my ghost story could probably tie into what you guys were talking about, or at least what I want to present. But let me just say that I think that these conversations do need to be had, and I love the fact that you take in all the different information, and you can do it and integrate it. I kind of got I kind of start to check out when I hear different versions of a story where people are kind of trying to prove one another wrong, or where they can't just consider certain possibilities, or consider that every perspective is actually the key to getting the bigger picture. Because I don't think we're going to get to the bottom of all of this. I think, well, maybe getting to the bottom of all of this is finding out that we're being pranked, or, but being able to consider all of this with curiosity, I think, is really cool. I don't know all the details of the Rendlesham event because I start to lose track of that because I always look at something different. Like, what does this all really mean? If I feel every significant event that has ever been discussed on the show is basically a training exercise. And there are, let's just say, good entities involved, bad entities involved, and, a higher possibility that can be born when we work with both of those. So when people are talking about certain, possibilities or identities of beings that were present, I say it was all of that. It was all of that. Why does it have to be just one thing?
It certainly doesn't. It does not. It always comes down to, for me, and I'm being serious about this, Sarah, and I swear on every bone in my body that the more that is revealed, not only on the show, but through my own research that I do, is that everything keeps going back to the same things and points that physicists are talking about. They're talking about the exact same things that we are. We relate it all to trying to figure out the paranormal and the supernatural and ETs and UAPs and UFOs and Bigfoot and ghost and life after death and NDEs, all of those things, right? Physicists are absolutely 100% talking about the same research, right? I keep going back to it because everything that I hear John say or others, right? I hear physicists talk about, and physicists.
So when you have those experiences, I wish, if I had an experience like that, I wish I was a physicist to be able to put it into a language that many people would understand. The problem is that we don't often have the language or the references. But when you can get two people in the same room who have totally different areas of expertise and they can come up with a higher language by sharing the information, that's where it's at, right?
Yes, and I think that's where we are at today. That's why I'm so excited. I can't wait, for tomorrow. Everything is just coming out so fast. And I think the data and the algorithms and the research that not only when we talk about physicists, it's that entire part of science. It's astrophysicists, it's astrobiologists, it's astronomers, and physicists, and chemists and chemistry. All of this is related. All of it is related in the science side of things. But they're trying to figure out and make sense of things. And that's where Einstein left off. He wanted a theory of everything, right? That would give us all of the answers. Well, that science is continuing to push forward. The more that they push forward, it keeps pointing them into another fantastical direction that they may be a little bit afraid of, but the science is pushing them in that direction. And it's the same thing with us and our experiences. We're seeing them and we're trying to get these answers, and it keeps pushing back towards science. It does.
Yeah, it's almost like the scientists are decoding the experience. They're creating the language, or at least being able to broadcast or put in writing the language that's underneath all of it all.
Yeah.
That's why I think it's really interesting to get somebody who's kind of woo-woo and they don't have that scientific background to be able to share an experience with somebody who's more scientific and open-minded and can be like, whoa, wait a minute. Like when John was talking about talking to the lights, I can totally relate to that. And I know when I've spoken to other people who initially couldn't, once I start really trying to find the language around the experience and what it's like, especially my scientific friends, they're like, wow, yes! And suddenly they're having these experiences. And it can be explainable when we're open-minded about it all. What freaks me out is all of this obsession with the technology. Because when we're just looking at how to create the technology, we're not going anywhere that we want to go. It's a trap.
Yeah, and it's so funny when I drink out of my Church of Woo mug, right? And people want to talk about woo-woo and the woo, and I hear it all the time, right? I hear it all the time. You want to hear real woo-woo? Listen to a physicist. You really want to hear real woo-woo coming from a scientific mind? Listen to a quantum physicist, a theoretical physicist, a physicist talk about the realities of things that they are dealing with today. The woo that we talk about on the show isn't even close, right? And they are saying, hey, this is where science is taking us today. And
this is where woo's taking us, too.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. The real woo out there, the real woo-woo is a quantum physicist telling you about multiverse, multi-worlds, and parallel worlds, and multi-dimensions, and there are infinite versions of you out there having conversations that you know nothing about. Digest that. Right? It's crazy.
And I think as human beings right now, that because they're open to all possibilities, they are developing the technology to travel. Now, that sounds super crazy, but I bet if somebody were to explain their experience of traveling and how they got there, a physicist would be like, whoa, I can break that down and make it make sense. But if we're trying to just replicate technology, that's just part of the training exercise from perhaps our future versions to get us back on track. I'm just so sick of beating this dead horse. Let's just get the technology and make the weapons. It's like beating a dead dude horse. It's just come on.
Well, there are a lot of minds out there that will always go in that direction. Yeah, that's interesting tech. How can we kill somebody with it? It's the way it is. Sarah Ann, thank you so much. What a great phone call on a Fadernight. Thank you.
Thank you for all the conversations, and maybe in a couple of weeks I'll call it my ghost story.
I want to hear it. Go Beckley Teppy.
All right. Go Beckley Teppy. Thanks.
Sarah Ann kicking the show off and coming in strong. And with that, let's see where we are here. I'm just going to go in order, everybody, with the calls that came in. So here we go. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Who's calling? JT.
How you doing, Jay?
Hey, JT, how are you, man?
I'm doing good, man. Great night out here.
What'd you think of that? What'd you think of that conversation, huh?
I missed it because when I'm on hold, I got to shut down my YouTube feed. I'm going to have to listen to it on the replay. But I was sitting there thinking about what a great week it was with Whitley Strieber and Johnny Enoch, Nick Redfern. I was trying to figure out who I'd put in the cleanup spot there,
Well, John
Whitley Strieber's a great leadoff hitter, and man, John Burroughs, I can't wait to listen to that conversation.
John Burroughs, 90 minutes on Fadernight. Surprise call.
Wow.
Yep.
That's crazy.
Yeah, man.
I can't wait to hear that one.
Yeah, you're going to have to go back and digest that one. And while I've got you here with us, JT, and thank you for taking the time to call in when you're out there on the open road, driving your tractor trailer.
Have me on.
Is last night with Nick Redfern, when you hear something like that put out there, that it was a grand experiment by the British military, and that was going on in the forest that night, and the United States Air Force may have gotten in the way. Now, that's a pretty extraordinary book to put out there. Well, John Burroughs just came on the show and said, hey, parts of that may be correct, that Nick Redfern may be onto something. And there you go. Now, he's when you hear something like that, JT, you've been following this show and the UFO side of things for a long time. What goes through your mind?
Well, I'm a healthy skeptic anyway, so now it's kind of like being a healthy skeptic on the other side. Like, I need more. I need more proof. I need more. I gotta see, And then, what you're saying, I gotta hear what John said about it. But, I'm a healthy skeptic. That's all I can say,
And that's the way.
I don't know.
Yeah, but that's the way it has to be. And that's my advice to everybody. And that includes myself, man. I try to follow that. Look, I'm just like everybody. I enjoy the subject. I enjoy hearing from experiencers, what researchers have uncovered. I like a good documentary like everybody does. I love watching science fiction films. I've seen things that I have seen. I am fully engaged, fully. But that being said, I am definitely always on the side of skeptic. You have to be. If you go all in on this subject, if you go all in, if you believe everything, you're going into a danger zone, and in the end, you're going to get hurt.
You like you said before, you got to take that step back. You got to step back. You want it to be true. It only takes one. It only takes one ghost, one UFO, one Bigfoot. But you got to take that step back.
You have to, JT. You have to. So you're out there on the open road tonight. What are you hauling? Cream cheese?
No, just starch now.
You're starch.
Eli Lilly I guess Eli Lilly liked my work ethic, so they requested me to be on their account all the time now.
Well, as a trucker, trucker, before I let you go, and I'm being serious about this, as a trucker, would you rather have a different route, a surprise every day, or would you rather just have a route where you know where you're going in the morning, where you're going to deliver to, and a consistent day? Which way would you rather have it?
In the younger days, it was just go any way the wind blows by that was one of my favorite songs by Southern Pacific. Whichever way the winds do, that's the way I wanted to go, but nowadays, a little bit older, 61 now, having a set route, that's the way to go now.
There you go. JT, thank you for everything, man. And all of the truckers out there that are listening to my voice, you know how serious I am when I say thank you. And I mean it. JT, enjoy your weekend, my friend. Thank you.
Get that horn hooked up this weekend.
I'll do it, and the next time you call in, I'll blast you, okay?
All right. Number 62426. Go Beckley Teppy, everybody.
Go Beckley Teppy. That's JT from Indy. Thank you so much, JT. And I am so serious every single night when I say everybody, the men and the women out there handling the logistics of this country and making sure that we are fed and clothed and we have everything that we need every single day. It is because of you. Okay? So, again, thank you from all of us here at Fade to Black and the audience. We don't get a chance to say it enough, but you're the reason why this country moves forward. So, again, thank you. And let's stay on the phones. Let's go right back to it. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Who's calling?
This is Joe from Virginia.
Hi, Joe from Virginia. How are you tonight?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I am fantastic. It's Thursday night, Fadernight, and I just spent 90 minutes with John Burroughs. What did you think about that conversation?
Well, I thought it was pretty good.
And that's it? Just pretty good?
Well, I just wanted to bring up a couple of things that y'all didn't bring up last night when you were talking with Nick.
Yes.
What I wanted to find out is I just wanted to make a couple of points. All right. When they went back, after the first encounter, there were 3 indentations in the ground.
That's right.
All right. No, that wasn't brought up last night.
Oh, yeah, we talked about it last night. Of course.
Oh, did you?
Yes.
And what about the broken tree limbs?
Absolutely. That's physical trace evidence. And if we're talking about holograms, I brought this up with Nick last night. If we're talking about holograms, some kind of holographic technology that is a projection, then how did those 3 indentations get in the ground that not only did they go back and get castings of and photographs of, and they went back with radiation detectors and Geiger counters to look at and get EM measurements of the area. They did all of that, and they also photographed and documented the damages to the trees. That can't happen if it was, something that was projected, which would mean, and this is what I said to Nick last night, that this is part of an elaborate hoax that was put on by the British military, and they would have had to have gone in and caused this damage and made the imprints and created a model of this triangular black craft in the woods and somehow got that in there and out without anybody seeing. So, yeah, I brought all of this up last night, Joe, and Nick realizes this. These are issues with this being some elaborate experiment that was put on that you can't answer with some of the eyewitness testimony and the physical evidence that is there.
That's right. And if I remember correctly, didn't they run the Geiger counters over the tree damage and found radiation traces on that above normal?
I believe so. I do believe that is the case, yes.
And I know they found traces higher than normal in the indentations.
Yeah, I do believe, if my memory is correct, and don't depend on my memory, Joe, or we all lose. But
oh, come on!
But I do believe that is the case. That Halt went back to the area. I don't know if Halt was there the day after, if he led the team or if somebody else did, but they went back, they saw the damage to the trees, they took their measurements, they took photographs, they looked at the indentations. I think they might have made castings. I could be wrong about that, but I think that they did. And all of it was referenced and measured for its distance. So I think all of that is there, and it's been documented for sure. How does that come into play if it was holograms? The only way is that they went in and set it up. They set up the scene, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I forget the other guy that went out the first night with John Burroughs.
Right. Adrian Bustenza and Jim Penniston.
Yeah, Jim Penderson is the one I was thinking of. All right, when he wrote down all the binary code.
Yes, which happened later. That didn't happen immediately then. Now, Jim has reached out to me. I'm going to let you know, Joe. Jim has reached out to me about coming on the show. So we're going to get Jim on. Also, next week, we're going to have Nick Pope on the show and some other things. So, yeah, it's going to be great. But I believe that Jim said that later, not that it didn't happen that weekend, it didn't happen at that instant, that later he was on a bus or something like that when the download of the binary came to him. He had a notebook with him, he flipped it open and wrote out the binary code. Okay, but it didn't happen that weekend. It happened later. I don't know if it was a couple of years later, if it was a week later. That part, it just doesn't come to me right now. Somebody will pop it up here on Twitter for me. But that's when that went down, and then it was later decoded, and those messages were there. The part about that for me, Joe, and I'm sorry for interrupting you, but the part for me that is most important is that Jim Penniston has said on this show and on other broadcasts that he was told by them that they were us from the future. And he has not swayed from that. He has been very clear. It's not to be misinterpreted or, reading between the lines. No, that they were us from the future. Now, when we go to what John Burroughs said tonight, that is a very interesting connection between their stories. And one other thing of note, I want to be very clear here, and I tried to make this clear last night, that if you look at everybody's individual accounts from Rendlesham, the names that we have been familiar with, and others that have not been in the public, everybody's version of the events is a little bit different. It's not all exactly the same, and I find that part very, very interesting. And does that play into what Nick Redfern was saying last night? If there were drugs involved, would you and I, Joe, if you and I took drugs, does that mean together and we go to a rock concert or whatever, we fall asleep, we have and have dreams, are we having the same hallucinations? Are we having the same experience? No, we've got two different brains and two different minds. So would that indicate what Nick is writing about in his book, why everybody's versions of what they witnessed are different? But the other part about it, and this is important, is if there is a car accident on a street corner and you have 10 witnesses and the police go and get the witness statements, they know going into it that they are about to get 10 different versions of the accident. Right?
Exactly.
That's it.
Exactly.
I got in a car accident. I got in a car accident on the freeway many, 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 many years ago. And I was at the front end of this accident. I didn't get injured or anything, but I witnessed everything. And it was crazy. There was Rita would probably remember this, but I'm going to say that there were 20 cars involved, something like that.
Wow.
It was crazy. And I pulled over to the side of the road, and eventually, it was on the freeway, the highway patrol gets there, and they interview everybody. A few days later, and I was at the front of the accident, by the way, I saw everything go down, right? And I got my headlight got broken off by some car, no big deal. But I pulled over. A couple of days later, the highway patrol calls me back and says, Mr. Church, I'm having an issue here. I've got 20 drivers, 20 stories, and none of them match. And I said, hey, I can only tell you what I saw. He goes, it's absolutely extraordinary. I don't know what we're going to do with this. I think we're just going to throw our arms up in the air and just call it a day. I said, hey, I'm not changing my story, man. What I saw is what I saw. And that's just the way it is, Joe. It's just the way that it is.
Well, when they decoded that, also that binary code, didn't that lead to a point out in the ocean off Ireland?
I have no idea. I'm reading the translation here. Exploration of Humanity, 8100, 5209 North, 0313 West. Continuous for planetary advance. Fourth coordinate continuous before. Then I'm looking at all of these. I just hiccuped in the microphone, by the way. That's what that was. Eyes of your eyes. There are a bunch of coordinates here. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So there you go. And it says origin year 8100. I haven't punched in these coordinates. I'm sure that others have in the past. If anybody knows where these coordinates are leading to, let's see, Belize, Arizona, Egypt, Peru, China, and Apollo in Naxos, whatever that means, and also Brazil. Yeah, I don't see Ireland here. So
okay, I saw somewhere
I've only got
going over this.
Hey Joe, I've only got 10 seconds.
Okay. Well, it was an island that was in mythology to the Irish.
You're talking about High Brazil.
Yeah, that's it.
High Brazil, and maybe that's what this says here. It says I Brazil instead of High Brazil. Well, there you go,
Yeah.
Joe. Thank you for the phone call. Enjoy your weekend, and go Beckley
Thank you.
Tepe.
Go Beckley Tepe.
That's what I'm talking about. That is Joe in Virginia. This is Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. We're going to take a quick break right here. It's Fadernight. It's open lines all night long. I've got lots of calls on hold, and if you are there, stay right there. But I will get to everybody after this short break. I promise. All right, that means I'm going to cut a lot of people short. I like that sometimes. Stay with me. I'll be right back.
Vivica Fox here, and you are listening to my boy, Jimmy Church, on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Despite popular opinion, reading a book will not make you smarter.
But listening to Jimmy Church will.
This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and I take Life Change Tea supplements every single day. It's what I do. Click on their banner at JimmyChurchRadio.com. When you take the beans from Central America with dashes of Indonesian and African mixed in and then roast it to the dark side of Fade to Black, you create the ultimate brew of fringe. Introducing the Fade to Black blend from Rivermoon Coffee. Yes, Rivermoon's darkest customized roast was created for the love of Fade to Black. The alchemy of masterful roasting and smoking the beans is in every sip of this full-bodied, dark Java. I need my coffee dark, deep, with distinct bittersweet chocolate highlights, just like the bunker. Leaning further into the darkness of the roast is Fade to Black blend from Rivermoon Coffee. Just click on the banner at JimmyChurchRadio.com and use the promo code F2BBLEND for 15% off of your order today. Go Beckley Tepe.
Hello, my name is Billy Carson, and I am a best-selling author and the founder of ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. Together with my team, we have built an all-new conscious streaming TV platform designed with every family member in mind. If you have ever wanted to travel the world and attend lectures and workshops from your favorite speakers but weren't able to, look no further. ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. There are dozens of workshops and lectures from speakers you know and love. We have also included amazing categories to assure that your consciousness is entertained and elevating on a daily basis. Amazing interviews, ancient history, ascension knowledge, wisdom teachings, documentaries, conspiracies, mysteries, health and fitness, conscious cooking, meditations, finance, yoga, and so much more. To start your free trial on any mobile device or computer, surf to ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. That's Forbidden Knowledge with the number 4, ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. Again, visit ForbiddenKnowledge.tv today.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app. Free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
It's not a lifestyle we chose. We were born this way. KGRARadio.com.
This is KJCR at JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Welcome back, Fade to Black. Thursday night, Fadernight. A little different tonight, wasn't it? John Burroughs came in, 90 minutes of amazing conversation talking about Nick Redfern's new book, The Rendlesham Forest Conspiracy. And I knew that the phones were going to heat up tonight, and I expected that. And I want to thank everybody for sticking in there and staying on hold. And let's just keep it going. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Who's calling? You're live.
Hello?
Yes, you're live.
Hello. This is kind of off topic, but I feel like I sense that you have Jordan Maxwell's phone number, and he's a national treasure. And I was thinking you maybe could give him a call to just make sure he's all right, and let us know afterwards.
You want me to call him right? You want me to call him right now?
Would you? I'm just concerned.
Why would you be? What is there something out there that's indicating that there's a reason why we should be concerned?
He's a 79-year-old man.
Yep.
He's in the target zone of this COVID-19 thing, and I live in a zip code which I will not disclose that has COVID-19 numbers only on the rise. And
well, I would say that any virus is scared of Jordan Maxwell. How's that?
I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope so.
Okay. Well, I can reach out to Jordan. I will certainly do that, and I'll see what I can report back to everybody on Monday. How's that?
I would love that. And your show's great. I listen every day, and I'm not a Fadernight yet. That's finances.
No, you don't have to. You don't have to have finances to be a Fadernight. You have to just call into this show and say Fadernight. So there you go.
All right. Well, go Beckley Tepe.
Go Beckley Tepe. You have a great night.
Have a great one. Thank you.
Thank you. And that's a great phone call right there. You don't have to. No. As a matter of fact, for anybody that's listening out there, you can sign up to become an official Fadernight. We have a whole free version right there where you can just go and do it. And we set that up just for you. And, I could have given her a free account. If you are listening right now, I didn't get your name. Write me, Jimmy at jimmychurchradio.com. Okay? And I think I've gotten an email from her before. And she knows what I'm talking about. So she can go and just write me back, and I will set you up with a Fade to Black membership. See? That's how we do it here on Fade to Black. Let's go back to the phones. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Who's calling?
This is David Christopher, Jimmy.
Hey, David Christopher. How are you?
Hey, not bad, not bad. I think I sent you a couple of tweets in the past regarding the Jason Quick when you had him on the show. I think that was about 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
Or I think last week. So, but anyway, that's not what I want to talk to you about tonight. Tonight I wanted to discuss, and by the way, first-time caller, long-time listener. Okay.
Yeah, and I can't wait to hear you say "Go Beckley Tepe."
Okay, well, we'll save that for the end. But I wanted to just go over the Mars launching the NASA launching the Mars helicopter.
Yeah.
And that whole deal. Now it's crazy that people think that them launching just one single helicopter like that's all it is. That's BS. That's going to be a smoke and mirrors. And I think I put that on my Twitter feed as well. What it really is, in my opinion, and I'm just speaking for myself, it's smoke and mirrors, and they probably got like 10 other helicopters like exploring all these ancient ruins that are already there. And this is something I believe that actually exists. Which is why there's so much communication problems when they have these probes go to Mars, and then magically they like you were saying, they're exploring like the middle of nowhere, like a desert.
Right.
Like there's nothing there. Why don't you go to like the poles where there's water and stuff like that? So I'm just sharing my analysis of that whole situation.
So I think you kind of share my vision of frustration then.
Oh yeah, absolutely, because I think that it's a disservice to people in general. I mean, taxpayers especially, because we're paying money for them to explore our solar system, and the results that we're getting is like secrets and lies,
Well, so, and that's what I've been on about, David. That's what I've been on about. And there's another part to this too. Is when, and this is where I hate to always go conspiracy, right? To go just full on tinfoil hat. But when NASA,
unfortunately, it's part of it.
It's part of the game, right? And so when NASA says, well, this is just a demo helicopter and there's no instruments on board, I see that and then I go, well, of course there's instruments on board. You've always got to take that view. And that's the frustrating part. I don't think that they've ever been upfront with us. I appreciate the work. I appreciate the efforts of getting things to Mars and Saturn and Titan flybys and the Pluto stuff last year was just absolutely crazy. All of that stuff is just great. I appreciate it. But there's a thing called ice. Water ice on Mars. Let's go there. That's where. Don't you want to see the snow on Mars? Don't you want to see that for yourself?
Absolutely. But like I said, they have an agenda. They already know what's there. They have known for the past 20 years since they've been sending probes out there.
I think so.
That's why there's so much secrecy behind everything. So. Just a single helicopter with no cameras.
No HD camera. Come on, man. and check this out. Check this out. I tried to make my point very clear, David, and that is this. The only reason to have a drone is so you can watch the friggin' video that you shoot with it. And having a drone on Mars from 16 feet flying around the rover and showing us the high-def images of that is bleeping cool. And we deserve to see that footage. That's why you do it.
With you.
Man, I'm so disappointed in NASA. I cannot believe it. I want to see the test flights. And this is the other thing. The high-def video for Mars, we get high-def images, right? But like video from Mars, I don't want to see images of the drone off in the distance. Who cares?
Taking pictures
of the who cares?
Photos.
That if I posted pictures on Twitter, let's be very clear. If I posted pictures on Twitter of my drone sitting on the ground, who is going to care? No, but what is that? I want to take a picture of my shoe.
Well,
and post
why
that?
share the news anyway? Why even share that?
That's what I'm saying. What's the interest? What's the interest in that? Let's see the high def video of the drone flying around Mars. That's it.
Well, you know what? I say we should get Elon Musk to take over this project, okay, and make it happen. He can do it. Make it happen.
And you know what? Is there still time to add? I have a drone here. It's over there. I don't have the time to go and get it, but I have a small drone here in the bunker. Just a little drone. It's got a tiny little 1080p high def camera on it, right, to shoot video. That thing weighs, I don't know, the whole drone weighs a couple of ounces. That's it.
Right.
I don't know what the weight is on that camera that's on the inside of that, but there is no reason why that simple camera, 1080p, it's not even 4K, throw that on that drone. What is that? What is that going to have? I don't get it.
I forget the percentages, but the weight is less. So I think it's like something like 100 kilograms. I can't look online because I'm on the phone, but if you're 100 kilograms here on Mars, you're going to be like 78 kilograms, something like that.
That's right.
It's not highly significant, but it's definitely something that you can work around and send possibly even more bigger cameras on your drone while it's there. to do the flybys, the flying around.
That's right. And so, David, you bring up the best point of all. NASA says that this helicopter weighs 3 pounds. Okay, so tell me the difference between 3 pounds and 3 pounds and 1 gram, whatever it is that it would take.
You know what the difference is? The difference is BS. Yeah, the difference is the BS.
Hey, David, enjoy your weekend, man. Give me a Gobekli Tepe with that voice.
All right, well, absolutely, Gobekli Tepe.
That's what I'm talking about, David. Have a great weekend. We'll see you on Monday.
You too, Jimmy. Thank you.
Thank you. That's a great phone call right there. Fadernauts are the best. Never forget how cool the Fadernauts are. And with that, let's see who is coming up now. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Who's calling? You're live. 3, 2, 1. Oh, I hate to do this, but I just did. Okay, I'm just going to go next. I'm going in order. Let's see here. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Who's calling? You're live.
Yeah, Jimmy.
Yes.
Hey, it's Brother Bob out here in Edmonton, Alberta.
Hey, Brother Bob in Edmonton, Alberta. How are you tonight?
Oh, I got to tell you, man, I missed the first 90 minutes, so I'm going to have to go back and give it a listen. But what if you wrote that book so everybody would do more digging to make Rendlesham more truthful?
How would you even do that at this point? And
I don't know. I don't know. But that's not why I called.
Okay, why did you call, Bob?
I got a full-on Mandela effect that happened to me today.
What happened?
Okay, so how long have you been in LA?
1984.
Cool. So were you at the last No More Tours tour for Ozzy at Costa Mesa in November 15th, 1992? Were you there?
Oh, no, not 1992. No, I didn't see that tour.
Okay, so it was the No More Tours tour, and that was, right, Saturday night. I couldn't get tickets. The boys didn't get together. The four of them didn't get together. They didn't do the 4 songs. And Sunday night, they did the 4 songs. I was 28 years old. I'm 54 yesterday, 2 days ago.
Right.
All these years, Jimmy, it was War Pigs. It was
Paranoid.
They played 4 songs at the end. They played War Pigs.
And let me guess.
They played Iron Man.
Right.
They played Fairies Wear Boots. And they played Paranoid.
Right, of course.
Okay, but they didn't.
This is going to get good. Wait a minute. Hold on, Bob. Stop for a second.
Yeah.
Are you saying that your memory says War Pigs, Iron Man, Fairies Wear Boots, Paranoid, you saw it, it was amazing, and it was a great night that you'll never forget, right?
I was there. People go to Bob to find out the truth.
Okay, I got you, Bob.
Do you remember this? Do you remember this time
I got you,
when
Bob.
we did this? And I'm like, yeah, man, I remember that day. I remember the song that was playing. It was 2 a.m. It was Iron Man. We almost hit the ditch. Remember that?
I feel you. Okay, what happened? What'd you find out?
Okay, my heart is racing, man. Like my wife called after I found. So Chanter's been posting these old videos, right? Mm-hmm. So I wanted to outdo him. So I looked for the video. I found the video of
Costa Mesa, 1992. No More Tours. You were there.
Yeah.
You see the video. What happens?
The first song was Black Sabbath.
Oh, no way. Okay. What was the next song?
Since I was 28 years old, I've been telling people the story about the 4 songs. Like, I'm freaking out right now. I was in tears trying to explain it to my wife today. Like, I was like almost in a psychotic break.
Oh man.
Because it was so overwhelming. Because Sabbath is my band, man. Like, that's it. It's Sabbath.
Yeah, yeah. Well, what were the other? Wait. What were the other 3 songs? What did they leave off?
They left out War Pigs.
Okay, so
it didn't start with War Pigs. It started with Black Sabbath. I got to sit down. Hold on.
Okay, so it was Black Sabbath. What was next?
It was Black Sabbath. Then it was Iron Man.
Right.
Then it was Black Sabbath, Fairies Wear Boots, Iron Man, then Paranoid.
Wow. I'm kind of disappointed.
I'm looking at the video, like they have the credits, whoever made the video. You can look it up on YouTube. It's there.
Right.
And it says Alice in Chains. Alice in Chains wasn't there. It was Sepultura, Black Sabbath with Rob Halford singing, Ozzy Osbourne, then the original 4.
Mm-hmm. No Alice in Chains.
Wasn't there, man.
Are you sure you were there?
Oh, God. You know what I got? To this day, I have there were these crazy... We met these guys, these Spanish guys, Mexican guys. They were so freaking cool. We were smoking black hash that we smuggled across the border, blah, 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 whatever. Not supposed to do that.
Right.
And they were so amazed that we had this hash, and they were... And these guys beside us started a huge fire. Like big fires in the festival seating. These guys are beating the crap out of each other, and I get hit in the head with a watch. It flew off somebody's wrist. I still have the watch. It's in a drawer.
Did you see the whole show? Do you remember that?
Absolutely.
I was
there. We got there. It was so wild because we're Canadians. You can't buy beer in a 7-Eleven.
Right.
We walk into a 7-Eleven. We buy a couple of tall boys, put them in brown paper bags, and we're walking to the show.
How was Sepultura?
Sepultura, I'd never seen them, still never seen them. They were good.
They're amazing.
Than the vocals, I'm not that vocal guy.
Oh, okay. No, I hear what you're saying, but Sepultura, man,
right?
Just to this day,
and I
one of the great
everything
bands.
They do, absolutely, man. Those guys kill it.
But
then Rob Halford came on singing with Sabbath.
Right.
And they did a full, not a 90-minute set, but it was an hour long, because what Ronnie said, I can't take the stage with Ozzy. I think it was something like that was on the radio. And that was the first time I ever heard Rob Halford sing Light Fades into Black, or Light Turns in... How does that go? It was off the Buffy the Vampire Slayer soundtrack?
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, driving down Sunset Boulevard... Wow.
And that was Ozzy with Zakk Wylde.
Yes.
Phew, man, what a show, man.
It was, yeah, and I was all freaked out because I didn't get the Saturday night tickets, and I'm thinking, oh God, they're going to do it on Saturday night because everybody's probably going to have to go to work on Sunday, but no, they did it on Sunday, and Bill Ward was smiling ear to ear, and I knew there was going to be a tour after that. I was okay with that.
Well, see,
I knew there was going to be something.
Yeah, I love the universe connecting us right now, because that was going to be my next comment. Was Bill Ward, because that was Bill Ward, who has had health issues over the years.
Yeah.
But that era of Bill and what went down in '92. He not only came back, but he was like in some of his best form ever in the history of his career. And
he was hammering it, man.
He was. He
must
absolutely
have built like 10 sheds. Like, fucking just pounding those buggers. And the smile on his face.
Yep.
And it was just so awesomely wicked. And I can't. I'm just overwhelmed, and I was so freaked out today.
And I don't know what about the whole Black Sabbath instead of Iron Man, which not Iron Man, War Pigs. That's a concern for me, and that in of itself is but that's not enough, right? You need some other things. Well, you throw in this Alice in Chains aspect of it. And I don't know if that is an error, a clerical error, But you can't make that kind of mistake. And you were there, and you know it was Sepultura, right? You know it was Halford and Sabbath. You know it was Ozzy with Zach, and you know it was the Final Four to wrap things up.
And who was the bass player? The bass player, Randy Castillo, was that right?
No, Randy was the drummer.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yeah, Randy was the drummer. The bass player for Ozzy with Zach then.
It wasn't Rudy Sarzo.
No. Jeez. It might have been, was it Robbie? Oh, what's Robbie's last name? Oh, man. Or was it Ben Chester? I don't know. I don't know who the bass player was for Ozzy in 92.
No, I couldn't. It wasn't Bob Daisley.
Oh, I want to say Robbie Crane. Was it Robbie Crane?
I couldn't tell you.
He might have been playing with Vince Neil then. I don't know. Ozzy's, you know what? You know what's funny? Today, ask me who Ozzy's guitar player is.
I couldn't tell you.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. No. I'll throw that out to Twitter. Hold on.
A big sign up there, right? It said, "No more tours. I'll be back." At the end, and I remember that. I remember everything. I was out. I cleaned we're all in lockdown today, right? So I'm cleaning and here's serendipity for you. I'm cleaning my closet. What do I pull out? What do I find in the bottom of the closet or the bottom of all the T-shirts and long underwear? Well, I live in Canada, right? We got long underwear up here. And it was my No More Tours shirt.
Oh, see, that you've always got to accept the duality of the universe.
Yeah.
You have to. It comes in twos, man. It comes in twos and it comes in waves. Okay, I need to know from the Fadernauts. I've got 60 seconds before we sign off, and we've got Bob here. Who is Ozzy's current guitar player? Rob Blastko.
Blasco. No, not now.
Yeah, I think that's wrong. That's according to Scott. That's
old Blasco? Yeah, but I've seen him play with Blasco, but I don't know if that's who's playing with him.
Rob was the bass player in '92. Okay.
Really?
Yep. See, I've got everything. Come on, Bob. You know the Fadernauts. They're all over this.
Oh, they're on the ball. You betcha.
Yeah,
more so than me. That's for sure.
So, who is Ozzy's guitar player today? That's the question. I have no idea. Okay,
we will soon see.
Let's see. I've got nothing. Come on, Fadernauts. Okay, I'm out of time. Hey, Bob. Thank you so much, my friend. We love you. Give me a Gobekli Tepe.
Gobekli Tepe, brothers.
That's what I'm talking about. Great phone call. Bob, enjoy your weekend. We'll see you right here on Monday.
Absolutely, positively.
Thank you so much. That's a real Mandela effect. You know what? Having Black Sabbath instead of War Pigs, that'll throw things off. That's a Mandela effect. That's kind of whack. What? Zach Wilde is back with Ozzy? Is that right? Confirmed that he will be touring alongside Ozzy in 2020, part of the Rockers' No More Tours 2 farewell tour. So Zach is back in Ozzy's band. That's cool. That's worth it. Mike Inez played bass. That's right. Yeah, it was Mike Inez. Absolutely. Thank you, Tim, for that. I love the Fadernauts. I love all of you. What a great show tonight. All of the phone calls. And, of course, I got to send out a special thank you to Mr. John Burroughs. What an incredible show. And I'll say it one more time. You Fadernauts, every single one of you are spoiled. Spoiled rotten. And I wouldn't have it any other way. Fade to Black's executive producers, Rita Camurian. Show is produced by Hilton J. Palm, Renee, Dennis, and Kevin. Announcers are Steve Harder, Gene Vito, and Mark D. Kovar. Webmaster is Drew the Geek. Music, Doug Aldrich. Intros, Spaceboy. SpaceboyMusic.com. Fade to Black is produced by KJCIR for the Game Changer Network. Syndication is KGRA, The Planet. It's broadcast owned and copyrighted 2020 by Fade to Black and the Game Changer Network, Inc. It cannot be rebroadcast, downloaded, copied, or used anywhere in the known universe without written permission from Fade to Black or the Game Changer Network. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. I want everybody to have a great, safe, fun, amazing weekend. I know Rita and I are, and we'll be right back here on Monday with all of you. Until then, everybody be safe. Go Beckley Teppy.